What's up, guys? Welcome back for another episode of the GhettoRig podcast. We've got episode 145, if I'm not mistaken, today, Mickey? 146. I'm off, man. It's hard to just keep count at this point. I don't really pay attention much, to be honest with you. For those who don't know, my name is Eddie. You got my co-host Jay on the far left and Miguel behind the camera. And we got a very special guest with us today. I'll go to that in a second, bro. I remember. Don't worry. I see you pointing over there.
Excited, dude.
But we got a very special guest today, guys. Someone I've come to call a good friend of mine and also my manager at work. He's like almost family now. George Zen Rodriguez.
Yo.
So George is now the general manager of the UFC gym Largo. Came over here from Miami. I'll let him talk a little bit about it, but just so you guys know a little bit about him. Came over here from Miami. He's been doing fitness since he was 15 years old. He's got a lot of stories to tell. We'll go into some today and how George came to become George today.
Yeah.
So we'll go over that in a second. George, tell us what you would say, a little bit of an intro for yourself besides the stuff I mentioned to these guys.
No, man, you pretty much nailed it. Been here in Largo, Clearwater area for about 2 months now.
Yeah.
Loving it. And came down to, take care of this position as general manager of the UFC Largo Club, man, which is amazing. I've enjoyed every second of it. From Miami, and I had an anti-bully program over there, which I still run. We still have instructors over there running the program. I'm all about the kids. You've been working with me long enough, so you know how I am about and feel about the kids. And came down here, man, to help Ozzy and the crew and all you guys with this amazing project, and looking to open up many more.
Yeah.
Are you originally from Miami?
Yes, sir. Born and raised.
All right.
I ain't gonna say my age, man.
You
so
have a little twang.
Right?
Are your parents Cuban at least?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you have the
Cuban
twang.
parents,
You
and
have
I'm
the
Cuban,
twang.
bro. I'm definitely as Cuban as it gets. So if you want to go there, I can go there.
I've heard plenty of comiendo mierdas and pingales and pingales.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
I know.
yeah,
You recognize that shit quickly.
Salsero to the core.
It's like, fuck, dude. You think about it, like at least 300 times a day.
Me, brother.
At least. There's like so many Cuban quips though, and at this point it's insane. Growing up in this area, you grow up around a lot of Cubans. Ergo, I grew up around Miguel. He's Cuban.
Eddie,
There's a lot. We have a lot of
Yeah.
big concentration of beans in this area.
well, Eddie didn't really
A lot
speak
of people,
Spanish
yeah.
until he went to high school, and most of his friends
No,
were
okay,
Cuban.
so-
That's when he started
So
speaking
that's called un
Spanish.
cubano arrepentido, dog.
So,
Have you heard of that?
no. When I grew up, not that I didn't speak Spanish, I understood and I could speak a little bit, but it was broken as shit.
Right.
Because my parents, they made the effort of learning English before I was even born. Not really learning English well, but when I remember growing up, I never remember like my parents going somewhere and kind of struggling to speak with someone. They could always get by and they always spoke good English.
Right.
And so in the household, my mom was quite the opposite of like, oh, you need to learn Spanish. It was more of like, you need to help me learn English. And so she always wanted us to speak in English so she could catch on and get better and better and better. So my Spanish was not very good looking when I was a little kid.
What they did with my little cousin was they only taught him Spanish. They only spoke
Yeah.
Spanish to him, and then when
So-
he went to school, he learned English.
I
He
think
already
that's
knew
a great idea. So I saw that be done with Emily's nephew, Leo. And I didn't necessarily agree with it at first. I was like, okay, you guys like, because it wasn't like, oh, like we're only gonna speak to him in Spanish. It was almost like when people said things to him in English, you're like, no, say it to him in Spanish so he picks up.
Yeah.
And they wanted, it makes sense. He knows English perfectly fine. Maybe he struggled a little bit when he first started off, but
You want to hear some? Go ahead.
I literally learned to speak Spanish like that. They
Yeah.
only spoke to me in Spanish when I was a kid, and when
Yeah.
I went to pre-K and kinder, they said, "Don't worry about it. He'll learn English later
you'll
on.
figure it
They're
out.
gonna
Yeah.
speak. They're gonna teach him English all the way through high school. So
Right.
let's make sure that he learns Spanish. So
Yeah.
it definitely works.
My little cousins, their babysitter was a Russian lady. So when they were growing up, they spoke more Russian than they spoke Lithuanian, they spoke Armenian or English.
Wow.
And now they're fluent in all of those languages: Lithuanian, Russian,
And the
English.
girls, when they speak to each other, the sisters, they do speak to each other in Russian, right?
No, and
No?
they speak to each other in English.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're going to an American school. Everything is in English, so they're
Okay.
communicating with everyone in English.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now it's more English. But when you do speak Russian to them, there's zero accent. They
Spit it out
fluent.
Wow.
You
flawlessly.
speak Lithuanian to them, they're fluent.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy. At such a young age.
Yeah, bro. Like they
having
grew
four
up
languages
learning.
already in your head.
They literally grew up till 5 years old. They spoke Russian, Lithuanian. My uncle tried to teach Armenian here and there, which they do know a couple of words. Kind of like
Okay.
you spoke Spanish. That's how they speak Armenian.
Okay. Well, then
Yeah.
that means they can speak it, just not the very
Yeah.
well.
But no one else is there doing it, so they don't
Right.
have the
It's hard for
practice,
them to
right?
retain
Yeah.
it.
but
Yeah,
they're
I
fluent
didn't
in
really
3.
learn to speak the way I speak now until I got into high school.
Right.
Yeah, from being around so many freaking Cuban immigrants that came to fucking go to school over here, and you motherfuckers don't speak English. Becoming friends with all those people, it kind of forced me to practice Spanish.
Hey,
And that's
Eddie.
why my Spanish now isn't even really like Dominican Spanish. It's a mix of Dominican and Cuban Spanish, like the accent when I speak.
He'll say "como tú estás" and I said it in one sentence.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the funny thing about it, man, is that nobody really knows how slangy Cuban Spanish is
Yeah.
until you actually start speaking it. So
Right.
when I, became a ring announcer, I did one gig for Mundos, which was Combate Americas, when it actually hit Miami. And they forced me to do it dual language.
Yeah.
So I had to say, now
something
in
in
the red
English
corner
and
and
then
in la esquina roja, and I had to
Yeah.
like say both back to back
Right.
the entire show. Dude, and I have the slangy Spanish. Oh,
Yeah.
and you got to clean it up. Like, you got to sound
Dude,
professional. You got to clean your Spanish up.
That's what I'm running into the office, right? Because, for example, I like Best Buy when I sold phones, it was a little hard, but there's way more stuff with the UFC gym that you go in depth to with the classes and all that stuff. And bro, trying to pitch in Spanish, that's just not easy.
It's not.
Because I can speak in Spanish fine. That's easy, but speaking formally
Yep.
and translating the same terminology that we use in English to make it sound, pretty and all this stuff, to do that in Spanish, that shit's not easy, dog.
It's not.
That shit's not easy. It's been hard for me. Every time these guys in the office like, oh, this person on Instagram speaks Spanish, Eddie, you can just take him. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, same thing they do to me, man.
Here comes a headache.
So I want to connect the dots here real quick. No, we're talking about Zen being the GM of UFC. You know that sponsor that we have?
Yes.
UFC.
So I kept thinking about it, but I didn't want to cut nobody off. Guys, don't forget about our official sponsors, the UFC Gym Largo and Vitality Wellness Center. There are going to be links in the description down below. Make sure to check those things out, guys, if you haven't checked them out so far. And make sure you can even get your free Vitality credit in the chat just by typing Vitality and get your credit in there.
So I do have a question,
I knew
right?
Jay was going to bitch at me about it.
Who?
I said I knew you were going to bitch at me about it.
Yeah, no, we got to mention our sponsor. This would not be
Maybe,
possible if, UFC Gym or Vitality weren't the part of it, right? Like that, we basically started with that.
AKA shout out Ozzy.
Yeah.
No,
Shout out Ozzy.
Yeah.
that's
So,
my boy.
For making
I,
this
I do
possible.
have a question. You said you have a bullying program, right?
Yes.
Now, so the way I grew up, back home was this thing where like, okay, well, if you don't know how to sing, like you just don't have it.
Right.
You don't hit the notes. You're probably better off not singing, doing something else, right? Now, I think within the recent years, even you going up there and telling someone, hey, listen, bro, like you probably don't know how to sing, you probably don't do it, they'll consider that bullying. Where do you draw the line? What is considered bullying and what's considered
Criticism.
what's considered criticism that's gonna
I got a
aid?
great story with
That's
that.
a good question.
That is a great question that I haven't heard.
Question.
Because there is that a lot of friendly banter.
It's
though.
an excellent
Yeah,
question.
and that leads into bullying. Sometimes someone spits something out as friendly banter when they're all talking shit. Dude, we used to sit in a circle and roast each other on purpose. That's cool.
Listen,
And who knows how someone takes it?
One thing is bullying, and one thing is the ugly truth. If that makes any sense. And what happens with kids is that sometimes they don't have the maturity level to understand what's the difference. For instance, I was in a situation where I was in a summer camp, and we have BJJ, and one of our little girls never wore deodorant, and unfortunately, she stunk. She did, and
We've all rolled with someone like that.
and all the kids knew it, and they kind of brought it to her attention. She felt that she was being bullied, so she told mom, and then mom came to speak to me, and said, well, I'm bringing my daughter to an anti-bully class, and I feel like that's kind of counterproductive if she's going to get bullied.
Right.
And I said, listen, mom, bullying is actually defined as a continuous, taunting, hitting, bothering, because you can have cyberbullying,
Right.
it's more mental than it is physical, actually. However, if somebody is telling your daughter that she doesn't smell good because she's not wearing deodorant, is it true?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Right.
Okay, because it's been several kids that have mentioned that maybe we want to pull her off to the side, talk to her a little bit about hygiene, go ahead and, educate her a little bit so she doesn't have to maybe pass by an embarrassing moment. I don't consider that bullying. I consider the kids being honest. Listen, she smells bad. I don't want to roll her. They're kids. They're immature. It's not like they're picking and taunting. They're just talking the truth, and it hurts.
Right.
Sometimes the truth hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ugly truth, like you
so
said.
the ugly truth. So there goes, one basic story of, to answer your question, Jay. Kids are utterly overly sensitive nowadays.
Especially nowadays.
I think that one of the reasons why I started this program is not only for the kids to be able to, defend themselves physically, but in order to empower themselves mentally as well. And one of the things that you need to do to empower yourself mentally is not to take everything as serious as, somebody says something to you, you want to go back to your room and cut your veins, bro, because somebody said something like, fuck you, and walk off. So a lot of people don't stand up for themselves, whether it's verbally or physically. And I'll add to that. When you defend yourselves or when you fight, you already know there's always consequences. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get in trouble. That always happens. However, I also tell my kids, doing nothing also has consequences. Because then they're going to clown you every day.
Yeah.
They're going to flick your ears every day. They're going to take your lunch money. They're going to kick you in the ass. And then what are you going to do? You're just a victim of that onslaught every single day of, people taunting you. And do you guys know that there's 160,000 kids absent from school every day in the United States? Think about that number for a second. 160,000. Yes, it's the United States. That's a large number.
Can you pull up the breakdown, boys versus girls,
And that's
on that
baby,
one?
bro.
The boys versus.
Do you know that? Do you know the breakdown on that? How many are boys or girls? Maybe Zen.
I do not. I do not. I know that there is a higher population of cyberbullying amongst girls.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Cyberbullying specifically.
And nowadays, what you're doing is, kids want to have a sense of belonging.
Yes, of course.
So sometimes you've heard that saying, guilty by association. Well, sometimes kids hang around with bullies because the bullies are the ones that are the popular ones, whether it's verbal or what have you. So you just want to have a sense of belonging. And sometimes what you're doing is you're caught up in the mix without really being one. So that's, it's a tough one, man.
So the reason I brought this up, because recently there was a skit that they did on South Park, and it was Lizzo actually that was responding back to this.
And I saw this. They did. Yeah. So South Park did an Ozempic episode.
Did an Ozempic episode, and they said if you don't want to do Ozempic, we have the new medicine that's called Lizzo. You take this medicine, and it magically helps you not care about if you're fat, you don't work out, you don't do this, you don't do that. It's the complete opposite, right? So, and body positivity has been a big movement within the past recent years. But when do you draw the line where you have someone that's, morbidly obese, and now I understand if they're morbidly obese and they're actively doing something about it, commend them 100%. We need to talk more about these people.
100%.
But you get the ones that are like morbidly obese and they'll do these little reels and things like that on Instagram, and everyone's like, you queen, go, this and that. It's like, I am a big girl. I might need 2 chairs when I fly, and that's supposed to be okay. Or people complaining that the aisles on the planes are not big enough for them to pass, and planes need to change to accommodate them. Now, where do you think that line stops where you're saying, okay, well, listen, you might be very unhealthy and you're promoting this is promoting the wrong thing, versus you saying, okay, well, you are fat, it happens. I understand. There's something you can do about it, not only because aesthetically you don't look good, but it's not good for the health. And on top of that, you're promoting this. Mm-hmm. Now, where do you draw the line when you say, okay, well, this is becoming bullying, and no, this is becoming positive criticism, right? Like, when does that stop?
Well, you got to come to terms with the fact that if we go back the last 35, 40 years, you never had to change the seat aisles in a plane for anybody.
Correct.
This is on new. Okay? Listen, if you're too fat to get on a plane, lose some weight. And I'm not being, mean.
No,
I'm not, in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that the
2
airlines.
Seats, you should buy the 2 seats.
I don't think that the airlines need to adjust their whole, plane because somebody can't fit in one of the seats. I'm sorry, that's not, something that I find to be, reasonable.
It's not like it's a right for you to go on a plane and fly.
Coming with comedy, when somebody, have fat people that make jokes about themselves online and people laugh. If you've noticed, social media has changed the game, guys.
Yes.
If you go back to my era, and I ain't gonna say my age, you guys know I'm older. I come from the Eddie Murphy era where you're watching Delirious. And
I
Raw.
love Delirious and Raw.
Man, those are amazing. Andrew Dice Clay telling people to fuck off in the front desk, and if this chick sucks
Eddie
a golf
Murphy.
ball
We were talking
through a
about
garden
movies
hose,
earlier.
and all
Comedy
this
movies,
shit.
like the older comedy movies. I love
Bro,
those things.
have you ever heard Sanford and Son, bro? You know what I mean? Have you ever heard George Jetson?
Richard
I mean,
Pryor.
George Jefferson, and you watch
Richard
these guys.
Pryor?
Richard
Ooh.
Pryor.
Richard
Papa,
Pryor, yeah.
look,
Those other two.
we
no.
weren't a bunch of, and I'm sorry, I know people might get pissed. We weren't a bunch of snowflakes. We didn't take things that personal. Okay? You didn't want to cancel a bunch of people for what they said. You know, you weren't, in other words, so sensitive or overly sensitive about what was said.
Imagine Eddie Murphy's Bush bitch.
Dude, you imagine today, motherfucker calling somebody hum fum foo, like, listen, bro, it's not
Eddie, I want half.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think
Goonie goo goo, motherfucker.
yeah, I think the society has become softer, and it's more of like individualistic. No one really cares about. The other day, I had a conversation with someone, and they're like, "Well, I don't feel it should be like this." And I was like, "Well, listen, what you're asking for, majority of people don't want that. What do you mean you don't feel like this? This is still a democracy. If 51% wants this and 49% doesn't want that, well, guess what's gonna happen? The 51% wins. It's still a democracy, right? At the end of the day." And I do think, yeah, I do think like the weight is a big issue in the United States. It's huge, right? That not only has to do with the health, the consumption, all of that stuff. You know, like how, you know, they're linking everything to Alzheimer's, to all kinds of things, right? And then, you know, you have these clips of, you know, people will approach ladies on the street and it'll be like, "Hey, listen, what do you think about Liz? Oh, she's an independent, strong woman, blah, 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 this and that." And then turn around and look at them and say, "Well, you kind of look like Lizzo." These girls literally flip the script. "Fuck you, this and that." Like the same person that just said that she's a strong, independent boss babe, now suddenly they're saying, "Fuck you for comparing me to Lizzo," right?
Right.
So is this thing of like this being politically correct, so not to hurt someone's feelings or not to get canceled?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but no one really, in their back of their mind, no one really thinks that. They're just saying it, to look good, to show the appearances. And to me, it's like, is that being a coward? You know what I mean? Like there's a time where
It's
you definitely
being
bend the
exactly
stick.
what people are, Jay, and in my humble opinion, it's called fake. Real recognizes real. That's a saying that goes around, you know, for the longest time, and people just don't have what it takes to. And going back to social media, that famous Mike Tyson saying that I love, people are getting too comfortable for talking shit on social media,
There.
precisely because they ain't getting punched dead in the face. You know,
Now,
people
did you
have a
guys
really
hear-
big different sense of opinion, okay, when they're standing in front of somebody, okay, that's going to smack them dead in the mouth. Then they really don't have much to talk about. You have a lot of caps lock badasses on, you know, on social media.
Yeah, the keyboard warriors, the ones that have never
Oh.
done anything in their life, that never reached of
Which is
anything
cool.
in
You know,
life.
if you let those
Most-
things get to you, then, you know, you really can't do much, because that's what social media has turned into in every level. You see, you know, it could be a post on anything. It could be a beautiful post on something that's really heartfelt, and you're going to find, you know, a bunch of people bashing that post, because that's what people are doing. They're going into the comment section to see what's the funniest comment or what makes them laugh. Hey, I do.
Or to be the funniest comment and say
And
some
to me,
shit.
it's like, you know, it is what it is. What are you gonna do? It's like you beat them, join them. It's like you go on social media for a certain amount of time, you run your business, you laugh at the idiots, and you clock out. You know, if you're in there partaking, then you become part of the issue.
You know what? I think partially why I've never got into it is because in my opinion, again, this is my opinion, there's no fucking scientific proof behind it. Partially why I never got into this, why I never really post comments, really do anything. I'll post a comment if somebody's like doing something really good. They bought a house. Congratulations.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? You did something, you accomplished something in life, right? I lost 50 pounds. Congratulations, you know? I think I never got into it is because I think I have a community of friends and family that at the very least every weekend we get together and we have a personal face-to-face conversation. And I think once you remove that out of the equation and it's only left that these people are very isolated and all they have is the internet and these communities they've created, and they want to be leaders in these communities that they've created online, and they're just kind of trying to prove a point that they're valid, they're worth it, they've made it.
You know how we saw that article that talked about how most couples that post themselves on social media
They're the
they're the
unhappiest.
most unhappy.
Yeah.
Could be.
I believe that about certain people as well. You know,
Yeah.
certain people that are posting themselves extreme amounts and just looking for validation from others. So like, I mean, I'm, in my humble opinion, I'm someone that doesn't use my social media much. Not in the sense where I don't sit there and scroll, but you won't see any activity. Like, you know how
Yeah.
Facebook and Instagram does that thing at the end of the year where it tells you, oh, how many things you liked, how many things you commented, how many things you posted. Dude, like last year, my shit was like 3 posts, 50 likes maybe. I think not even. It was 20 something. Like
Well,
nothing. My activity is 0.
There
I'm a
are
ghost
things,
follower for everything I look at.
yeah, there are things that I like for example, Michael Sartain. You know, he came on our podcast, huge, big in
podcasting industry.
in the podcasting industry or being on social media. He came on, like, no matter what he posts, I still like his, because he's like, we're nobodies. And it's like, yeah, sure, I'll come onto your podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
And we did a little Zoom thing. So anytime his stuff posts, I'll like it. And then they started like actually writing back to me. I can show you the messages. They DM'd me. It's like, hey, what do you like to post? This and that. I was like, listen, honestly, I like his content and I want to support him. This is what I did. Like, I gave him the reason why I'm doing that. But that's about it. You know what I mean? I share reels here and there. It is what it is.
I do send a lot of stuff to my buddies. Like, I'm constantly sending stuff
Yeah.
to Jay.
That's why there's that famous
that's
saying.
what I do.
There's that famous saying, "May your lives continue as perfect as you make it seem" on social
Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
You know, so
I can't
realistically,
say I see myself liking every single post, at least like that my friends make. It has to have some type of quality or
Yes.
thoughtfulness behind the post. It can't just be some random post. I'm not gonna like that. It's just, there's no effort.
what
But-
I do is I've noticed that social media, no matter where you pick it up and no matter where you scroll, you know, I know there's an algorithm, and depending on what you touch on,
Yeah.
it's mainly the things that they they post
You know,
on your
echo
page.
Not even,
chamber.
man. They scan whether you looked at it or
Your-
not. Because like if you
your
just
echo
scrolled right
chamber, yeah.
past it, it's like, okay, he didn't want to see that. But if you even stopped for like 5 seconds,
Right.
that's part of
Right.
their algorithm.
So it's safe to assume that most of the stuff that you see on social media now, it's negative. It doesn't matter
100%.
what it is. It could
Well-
be anything, but it's negative. So to me, I personally follow influential pages that I go on purposely to lift me.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of positive motivators. A lot of animal pages because they're funny. Because there's not a lot of stuff that makes you laugh, dude. So when I am on social media, I try to also limit my time. If you go to your activity and you go to your insights, you'll see exactly how much time you're spending on there.
Yeah.
If you don't have a business where you need to be on there, you need to check yourself, man, because it can become, in my household, we turn off our phones at night. We, spend our family time. We eat dinner together. When I see everybody popping up on their phone, I kind of turn into,
I
turn that shit off.
I check my phone a lot, but because of my current job now, since I do social media, I'm all day on it. So
Yeah.
it's like it gets boring
But
almost.
you also got to check out, man. If
I've
you
done
don't-
a few cleanses where I've like deleted all my social media off my phone for weeks at a time. I've done it a couple times now. It's hard, man.
It is, man.
Bro, because it's like you realize that there's a literal muscle memory built in
Mhm.
where it's like, okay, I pull out I'm bored, I grab my phone, I pull it out, right? And I automatically know where to click to go to Instagram, like every time.
So now I'm gonna fuck it up. So now-
And so all the time what's happened during that cleanse is I'd go and I'd click and I'm like, no, I'm not trying to fucking FaceTime anyone. What am I doing right now?
Now every time you get off your phone, you can go ahead and play the sax for about 20 minutes.
I need to get a saxophone.
I just
Yeah.
fucked with you on
Well,
that.
So here's the thing, like, I think social media is here to stay. Like, pendulum
Of
swung
course.
this way, it's not gonna swing backwards, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
So for you to completely cut out social media, I don't think it's necessarily, maybe it probably be good, but I don't think you'd be
You
able
know
to
what,
do
Jay?
it.
And it's funny you say that. I got friends of mine that do not have social media, and they're happiest people in the world.
I believe that.
And since I'm
I
on it,
believe
I
that.
can't really judge other ways
Yeah.
because I have my business and I feel it necessary to communicate with certain people that may not be in Miami now. That I'm here or in Miami. So I use it for different purposes, but I do, man. I see people that say, dude, I don't even want to know about that shit, and I can just imagine how their lives must be because
Yeah.
you know.
I have a friend of mine. He's a little bit older than me. Angel, Angel Miguel. We play a lot of Discord with him. He lives in New Jersey. He doesn't have shit. He doesn't use nothing. He doesn't use nothing. He's around. He's not much older than me.
The one
but he
whose
doesn't use
parents
nothing.
never taught him Spanish because they thought that
Yeah,
they
he-
would
he-
teach him in the
He's the one we
American
mess
school
up.
system.
He's the one we mess about. I know that.
So-
we're not nice friends.
So
a
you
lot
men-
of banter.
You mentioned going on a motivational websites and things like that, and all your life you've been in sales, right? And all your life, well, recent several years at the very least, past 10 years you've been in sales, right? Give or take.
Well, it's funny. My life is a crazy story, a great story. But briefly, if I just recap, I started in the fitness industry at 16, work experience. That is a program that they had in Gables, the school where I was at. At 19, I started working like loss prevention and things that have to do with, I wanted to be a law enforcement officer. I was hanging with the wrong people. That's another story for another day, unless you guys really want to know about the cocaine cowboy era, bro. And I'll go ahead
That sounds
and
fun.
get into the fun conversation on those days, and that, I can be a little vague on that. I became a correctional officer, so I was a law enforcement officer for quite some time in that little break from the fitness industry. And then after that, I owned my own gym. I was a bodybuilder for many years, got out of that, also a kickboxer, been in the martial arts since I was 5, have a black belt in Junri Taekwondo, Also, full contact kickbox since the age of 18 till now, pretty much. And the last 10 years of my life was spent more dealing with my kids and the anti-bully program, because when I was a ring announcer, I was doing that worldwide. I happened to be in New York City, and exactly going through social media, which is what we do. Right before one of my major events, I saw a story of a little girl, Bethany Thompson, that committed suicide after surviving brain cancer, and that got to me, because I'm like, dude, if I'm a pretty tough cookie, and if they told me I have brain cancer, I don't know what the fuck I do.
Yeah.
Much less to then survive it, go through it, all the operations, the chemo, this, that, and then go back to school. And because of taunting, you take your life. Imagine what that family went through.
Yeah.
Well, it hit me hard, and I totally and completely changed my entire career to work with kids up until the real cool story that I think I told you guys, about how, it's a real cool story of how, Lisette and I met, how I actually got to come to Largo. It happened in a week, man.
Yeah.
In a week. If you were to tell me, what are we, 8 weeks that I've been here?
8, yeah.
7 8 weeks.
If you were to tell me 10 weeks ago, you're moving to Largo with your family and you're running a USC gym, I'd tell you we're fucked up, batshit crazy. What are you talking about, dude? What are you saying? Been born and raised in Miami. I ain't leaving the 305 for nothing. I don't need to, bro. I'm good.
Yeah.
And man, the way that it's turned out, it's been a blessing. I've made the best decision of my life, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
No, see,
do you think that Miami lifestyle, that 305 lifestyle, do you think it keeps a lot of people in that city?
It is, of course, man.
Yeah.
You kidding me, bro? It's fucking ride or die, dog. But you know what? It's not the same. And anybody that's there can agree. It's not the same Miami. And it never will be. Not from back in the day where Miami was Miami.
What do you
You're going to always have that love for it because it's your city, man. Like, you're going to feel proud of it regardless of the era that you've grown in. But anybody that knows me, that knows that 80s Miami freestyle, bang, they're going to tell you, dude, he's 100% correct. Miami was the shit back in the 80s and 90s. You're never going to have that era again. And precisely,
what do you think is different? Do you think is a lot of people coming down from
Money.
northern
the cocaine
states?
cowboys, dog.
money.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to lay it, and you can anybody that, again, that listens and watches the podcast will say this is an old timer that knows exactly what he's talking about. When you were in Miami, okay, in the 70s, South Beach was a retirement home. All you had was a bunch of Jewish old people sitting outside, wasting away, in the sun. All of a sudden, these motherfuckers come here. You have that whole Mariel shit. They start moving Perico left and right there in Miami, where you had 2 or 3 cranes in Brickell. Now you had like 18, 20 cranes. The whole South Beach lifestyle came up. And, dude, it was just insane. Insane. That was the go-to place. It was also the most dangerous city in the world when I was there at that time. It was crazy, dude. You go into Dayland, there'll be shootouts all over the fucking place. Like, you had to watch yourself. And anybody that's watching, the Grove, baby, that was it. Like, they'll be like, damn, man.
It's still kicking, right? Because I think I've heard of that place.
The
Like
Grove?
recently, the Grove. Yeah.
No, man, the Grove was a place, dude, where you'd go and there was 1,000 cars going around in circles, so it took you an hour to go around to the same spot. Everybody else was walking around, just going, just chilling, dude. It was like a South Beach at night. So if you wanted to meet a chick, and they're passing by in a car, you just jump in the car with them. And by the time they went around and you got dropped off, you'd probably spend like 45 minutes, an hour talking to them in the car. Bro, it was really cool. It was the coolest times, man, I think ever. Really, the music was awesome. Nobody was bitching and complaining about anything. There wasn't any crazy bullying. Do you know why? There wasn't any fucking cell phones, any social media. They weren't making things easy for you. You got out at 8 o'clock in the morning, you got on your fucking bike and you dipped and you didn't come home till nightfall, And doing that, you had to stop off by a 7-Eleven, buy a Slurpee and pay with cash, and they had to give you change. Bro, you learn life lessons.
Mm-hmm.
You went to do a book report and you went to the library. You got a library card. They told you, motherfucker, go back there because the magazines are there and the encyclopedias are there and the books are there. You had to go find the topic, find the shit, scan, make copies, highlight, and you had to work. Now, AI, baby. Now I have Eddie make my letters for me, like, Eddie. Look,
I think we got to start giving.
I want this said like this, and man, I'll never be able to type that shit out like that. So listen, I get it. I love progress, I really do. But you also regress with progress when it makes it too easy for you, in order for you not to have to work hard to do it. You don't have to learn things anymore because it just does it for you. Yeah, it's great. It does it in a split second. So efficiency is amazing, but it dumbs people down from not having, you know, the intellect to do it on
So
their own.
I have an argument for that. I think it dumps people down in like what we would call street smart sense, where like being social, knowing how to carry themselves, and like I said, like being in a part of a community, it dumbs them down in that sense. But imagine how much worldly we are in knowledge, in the knowledge sense, because of the internet.
I agree, Ed.
You know what I mean?
100%. But when you are not, and you don't have a doctorate in the University of Hard Knocks, it's hard to go through life not having that street smart or that street savviness that you need. It's something that you need in order to get ahead, because smarts are great, intellect is great, but you need to be able, like we say, to challenge that wolf, to challenge that person that wants to get the best of you. That you need to have that street savviness, that street smart. It kind of teaches you who people are. Okay, it kind of teaches you what situations not to get into. There's no fucking school in the world that can teach you that. Okay, that's just something that you get just by being around people and seeing a motherfucker and saying, I know that guy's a piece of shit, or seeing somebody and say, I know that guy's solid. Okay, just by a look. That's something you can't get in school. That's something you get by dealing on the streets with people, and I can't explain it. It's like, you know, I'll give it to you like this. You do BJJ. If I did it on an instructional video and I never rolled, I can learn the moves as best I can. Would I really know BJ? Would you really think? There you go. If you don't practice it and are there and are you know, present in that moment, learning it, it's just, to me, you're just learning the techniques and the skills, but not to apply them. You just, you know, it's the same thing with life.
Don't confuse movement with progress.
There you go, babe. That's one of my favorite sayings ever. And I love when my guys repeat it over and over in the gym. And they repeat it to each other. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. These guys are finally, you know, because it's the truth.
Well, I think what happens in life is, not necessarily gross, but the guys need to go through hard times. You kind of have to go as a guy. You have to go through hard times. We're designed for it. You know, evolutionary, we were selected for it. You know, only 40% of the males have survived all up in, you know, until the last evolutionary change when we started planting crops. That's when things became easier, right? Even 200 years ago, like, you know, 4 of us would probably travel, and probably maybe neither one of us would have made it if we had to travel from here to California.
No,
right.
Most of us would have probably died, right? But
they would probably all died.
Yeah, probably. The thing is, I think the guys need to go through hard times, because if you don't go through hard times and you're out there digging ditches and that's your job, to dig ditches, and you don't know what hard times are, now suddenly digging ditches becomes the hardest fucking thing you've ever done in your life, right?
Absolutely.
And you're going to quit doing it. But we need someone that's going to dig ditches. We need someone that's going to climb the damn poles and fix the electrical lights. We need someone that's going to work 2-3 o'clock in the morning fixing the fucking road so we can drive on them. You know what I mean? And I think we forget that, you know, that we do need tough times, right? And that doesn't come with being cuddled, and that doesn't come with like, okay, you can learn about how to build a road in an internet, but can you really fucking do it?
Smarts plus street knowledge equals dangerous motherfucker. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, being smart. But see, here's the thing. I don't think it's you, like, intelligence and being smart, they're not the same thing. No. Most intelligent people are most likely very smart, but not all smart people are intelligent, right? So if you're intelligent, whether it's on a street, whether it's in a school, you're going to learn that, right? Like, and what that does, it just selects the few that are going to make it, that are going to be somebody. Everyone else is going to be a cog in the wheel. And most likely, most intelligent people are going to be a cog in the wheel anyway.
Absolutely, Jay.
Right?
But what happens today is the whole situation with everybody and the whole issue with equality. I'm all about it. I believe that women can be anything that a man can be to a certain.
What's up, Felix?
You know, you can be a power lifter if you want to. You can be, you know, what do you call it? A pilot. You can be a soldier. You can do whatever you want to do. But in life, there are just certain things that life itself, as it's developed, it's more male situated than female. Well, like you usually see a lot more males on top of those power lines.
Yeah, because we're designed for it.
And you know, it's just the way that it is. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You know.
So now, can a female go on a power line and fix the electrical line? 100%.
Yes.
Can a male go ahead and do it? 100%. But who's more built for the job?
Because what happens is, dude, through life, if you really do it the way you're, you know, I've always grown up to be a gentleman. I open the car door for my lady, you know, and nowadays that's not accepted because they say I can open my own damn door. That's not going to stop me from the many, many years of learning from my mother how to be a gentleman. There are certain things where I draw a line in the sand because those are your own values, ethics, and morals. We all have them. We're all our own individuals. But, you know, to me, I think we've lost a little bit of that.
Yeah, and
Actually,
what's
a lot of that.
the
I
whole
was
idea
gonna
of
say more than a little, dog.
I'm trying
Well,
to be generous.
well, the whole idea of being a gentleman came from an idea of understanding that that women are just as smart as men, but in some cases, men are physically much stronger. So you were there to make sure that things don't happen. When you're walking on the side of the street, you walking on as a guy, you're walking on the side of the street where the cars are driving, and your girl is next to you. In case the car passes by and smashes the puddle of water, so it sprays you, not her, and
Or in
messes
case
her
it hits
dress up,
someone.
right? Huh?
Or in case the person doesn't see, they're more likely to
Exactly.
hit you versus
So
hitting
that
them
all
because you're
came
closer
from
on
an
the
I know
road.
it's funny,
idea.
but I always do that if I'm walking side by side with someone, especially if it's my girl, and we're gonna cross, just get on this side. I always move them in a sidewalk, always to the side.
Or you're working in a parking lot.
Innate in me.
Yeah.
It's just normal, you know.
Yeah, you're walking in a parking lot. You move them towards where the cars are parked, not where the cars are driving. Now, this all came from an idea that, you know, men are physically stronger, not necessarily intellectually are better, but they're physically stronger than women. So we can handle these things better, and you can. And now I think they're just blending these roles together, which. Are there families that can do this 100%? But the majority of people are not built like that because we've elected this through years and years. You know, women always elected the guy that's gonna go out there and fucking kill a mammoth and bring it back, right? And we elected the ones that can take care of the kids and then just collect the little raspberries, berries, know exactly where it is, and also be smart enough to get their way out of the bad situation, right? So we've developed to have the brute force on our side, and then we've also used that brute force to help. But anyway, so long story short, you know, the reason why I was asking, you know, where
Emily
you know,
Emily made a good point. It's crazy to see when parents don't do that with their kids.
Well, what happens is as you
They
start,
don't even have that in like
that's
discipline
why,
to even for
that's why
children.
you should be very, very happy with your parenting, and that's the thing. People need to be appreciative of, you know, the parents that have raised you with those old school values.
I wouldn't trade them for
raised
nothing.
you exactly. Your parents raised you knowing my son one day has to head a household, have a wife, have a career, and he needs to be a man, and that's exactly what you're doing. And that's exactly why it's an honor to work with some of these kids. You know, some of you guys, I call them kids because I'm an old man, but you know, I see them and I'm like, damn, man, you know, very, very mature for their age versus some of these other kids that you can tell, okay, as imagine some of the kids, even the parents that you see today, and those are the kids that are going to grow up to be dads in held house. So just imagine, I mean, you know, so when it comes to parenting, man, it's all an individual thing. You guys, you know, kids don't come with a manual, but the one thing that you need to understand, I have certain values. If a child is 4, 5, 6, or 7, maybe even 8, it's like, shut the fuck up, sit the fuck down, stand up, sit down, eat, go take a shower, go to bed, do your homework. You ain't got a fucking opinion. Okay? You're a little jit. Shut the fuck up. I'm your parent. And a lot of people don't understand that. Oh my God, poor thing. Listen, one thing is being loving, and one thing is disciplining a child at an age where they don't have the mental capacity to do so themselves. They are looking at you to do that for them. Okay? As they start getting a little older, then you got to start dialing it down because they're getting a little older. You're preteens. You got to, you know, explain yourself a little bit more. Okay, on why you're doing.
They have the
certain
mental
things.
capacity not to understand.
Absolutely, it's different. You know, you have to, when you're parenting, you go in stages, man. Just like they're growing in stages, you're growing in stages with them on the way that you treat them. But if you had that discipline when they're 4, 5, or 6, they're not going to be running amok when they're fucking 12 or 13. Okay, they're going to learn to make better decisions. They're going to learn to hang around people that are not going to bring them that, hopefully, because you never really know. There's some parents that have done an exceptional job. Kid gets to a certain age and just decides, you know, turns into a fuck up. It happens. Okay, you know, you can't save them all, but what you can do is just attest to the fact that if you're an amazing parent and you raise them right, it's the best you can do, and that's all you can do, man.
So I do believe that dads keep their sons out of the jail and their daughters off a stripper pole, right? Like you needed that in a family. But with a 50% divorce rate right now in our country, a lot of the kids are growing up without the fathers. And if you look at the jail right now, in jail, there's a bunch of guys and girls that are like emotionally. What's the word I want to? I know the word I want to use, but I don't know if we can say that on the YouTube because we're gonna get canceled real quick. They're coming emotionally stunted, right? And they don't understand that you can't be emotional, and that comes when you as a little kid you had these little the tantrums. I want the candy, and you're falling on the ground on the store, and you're screaming, you want the candy, and mom is like, I'm too busy worrying about a bunch of here's the candy, have it. So they grow up in their life thinking that that's okay.
Jake,
The temper tantrum, they're gonna get the candy.
How many videos? How many people do you not see a grown ass adult throwing a temper tantrum, screaming at the top of their lungs, throwing themselves on the ground, kicking the floor? I mean,
another thing that made me think of that is the kids that, even when I was growing up, seeing the amount of kids that were boys that were growing up and beating on their moms. Like, no, mom, we're gonna fucking do this, and smacking their moms and doing shit. The amount of videos and stuff that used to come out when I was in high school of that happening in middle school, of 12-year-old boys, and the shit you would see on what's this guy's show on Springer and shit.
Jerry Springer.
Yeah,
all that. There's so much
scripted and shit. But when I worked corrections, it was a little different because remember, there's different facilities. So you have the stockade. The stockade for a little while had a boot camp program for these teens, man. That it was either you go to prison or you go, to boot camp. Listen, doggy, they came out straight as an arrow, bro.
Yeah,
straight as an arrow, and
because you're giving them a purpose.
A lot of them, believe it or not, have a lot of leadership skills, man. They're just misguided in the wrong direction. But when you bring them, or exceptional athletes, you got a lot of situations. I had, many pro boxers that in jail. Okay, when they did their little time, I'm not going to mention names, obviously. I'm talking amazing pro boxers that when I was housing them in jail, we go to the back, man, and we put on pillows all around our, the pillowcases on our hands, and we work. That's what I would train with when I was in there. So when I tell you there's all sorts of people in there, man, that you wouldn't even imagine, that you'd be like, holy shit, So you got to, let me ask you this, going back quickly to what you were saying before when we were talking about obesity. What's number one health crisis in America?
Heart attack.
What is?
Procrastination.
There you go, babe. Procrastination causes that heart attack, Jake.
Yeah.
That famous saying, and I say it all the time in the gym, from the movie Blow. Most people's lives pass them by while they're making grand plans for it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy that. Meanwhile, time keeps ticking. You know what? Next year, I'll own that. You know what? Next year, I'll kill it. You know what? The year after that, I'll do this. They don't do nothing. And they don't do nothing. And before you know it, they get to an age where they're like, listen, I think time's passed me by a little bit to do this. And they come to a certain realization. And that's why I always say, if you want to realize your dream, stop dreaming. If not, you're fantasizing. That's it. Realize your dreams. And that's what I'm doing now. Coming over here and doing what I'm doing over here. I'm loving it.
Talking about that, I don't want to compare St. Pete, Colorado Largo area to Miami because it's not there. But what I like about it, if you want the Miami craziness, you can find it here.
Of course.
And if you want the calm of like relaxed environment, you can find it here as well. Except it's not like 100% every day.
You
like
know how
in Miami.
In Miami, when you want that Boca Raton feel, you got to go across a couple hours.
Yeah,
you can get that here in 20 minutes.
What, Ed? What happens a lot is that people have this crazy misconception of Miami. Miami's ultra chill too, man.
Yeah.
Like you go to places in Miami, you'll be like, really? It's like, dude, you got to go like here. If you want the craziness in Miami, you got to go there. Like you got to go to Wynwood, and you got to go to South Beach, and you got to go to Brickell, and you got to go to places where the crowds are.
Go to Ybor City on the right now.
I think it's a good place for a young guy to go to understand how humans work, to acquire the social skills, to acquire the social calibration. It's a great place to live there for 2 to 3 years, as long as you don't lose yourself in a powder and in the craziness of the life. Like as long as you're there to observe and learn from it, I think it's a great place for any guy to get live experience.
Oh man, Miami's a great place. It's got a lot of culture.
Especially when you're young, when you have nothing to lose at that point, right? You don't have a lot of money to lose. You don't have a lot of responsibilities. Put a couple of years into it. You turn 19, 20, 21, go out there for 3-4 years with having a head on your shoulders, right? Live there for 3-4 years. And then when you're 25, 26, come back to somewhere else where you can capitalize on the knowledge that you have. Hopefully, in the meantime, you had good mentors that can teach you stuff,
Growing up in this area, I've been living in St. Pete. Literally, I've lived in this house since I was 4 years old, and live 2 minutes from your house, 5 minutes from here in Kansas City, since I was born. I really didn't like Pinellas County at all when I was growing up. I was like, this is boring.
Boy, shit was boring when I came in. That was the same time, bro. Pinellas County was boring.
It was very, very boring. Now that I'm older, I don't see why I would want to live somewhere else, to be honest. I would like to I want to go visit everywhere, but I'd like to live
Dude, I
here,
came
man.
down here and I said the same thing. I said, I'm in love. I'm not going anywhere. I'm done. Like,
Because you
Miami's
literally have
awesome, but
anything
I
you
love
want.
it.
You
Here
have
it looks
everything
like we always say it when my girl and I and we're we're driving down the causeway and looking at the beach. I'm like, dude, we really do live where people vacation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It really is awesome.
We
Like,
live, yeah.
even when we go marketing, like when we're in the gym, dude, and we're going out, dude, are you fucking kidding me? This is awesome. Like we're driving in places where like it's very, very nice down here. I highly recommend it.
I think it's
Like
going to
that.
change within the next 10 years. I think the way it's happening, the way we're building everything in this area, I think it's going to get closer and closer to Miami style because everything is becoming more expensive. And even during COVID, when that hit us,
I don't
and
see us going Miami style. I see us going more Orlando style.
Orlando style,
Yeah.
That sounds a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
You think so?
Orlando in
maybe.
what way? I would even start
Yeah.
The thing with
thinking
Miami,
I would start thinking New York. even.
Miami's too multicultural.
A little bit of
bro.
that.
Miami's really multicultural. Like that place, and everybody's taking over an area.
Well, that's happening right now in Tampa because if you go to Temple Terrace is all basically Colombian at this point. And any store you walk in, Temple Terrace is starting becoming more like Hialeah now. You walk in a store, people do not speak English.
Yeah.
You
Well,
need to communicate
So
in Spanish.
Ybor City, where all those clubs are and all those bars, all those big old brick buildings.
West Tampa, basically.
That was where they had all of the cigar factories.
Yeah,
So
that was the
Ybor's-
Cuban quarters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. A lot of Cubans came to Tampa
yeah.
back in the day.
So
A
Tampa is
lot.
becoming that. That's what I'm saying. In the next 10 years, we're gonna be more like Miami in a sense where even during the COVID, when the prices of real estate were kind of fluctuating, nobody kind of knew what's going on.
Yeah.
Our prices were one of the areas where it didn't drop as drastically. So we kind of kept our economy really well. Why? Because people were moving down here.
And then when the post-COVID whoop hit,
Yeah,
we went crazy.
We went crazy. We were number 4. Tampa area was number 4 in the entire United States of people moving in.
Yeah.
Number
And
4
in top 10 county most expensive counties to live in was
to live in.
County.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna get closer to maybe it's not gonna be Miami, but it's gonna be a mix of everything. New York, Miami. We're gonna take best parts of everything. I don't know Orlando. Why? Because they got too many
Amusement
little roller
parks.
coaster amusement parks there.
At
we're
least
not
they're
gonna get that
starting to
many
figure
Brits out
that
here.
Traffic is dog shit because they started. They finished the express lane in 275, and
Yeah.
that is just beautiful.
Well, not yet.
Amazing.
Not yet. It's not completely done yet, but
Well, a section of it is.
section of it is.
It's
Yeah, but
partially
once
done.
they open that, forget it. It's gonna be just a straight shot to Tampa without any worrying about getting stuck in the traffic,
and it's
right?
only 50 cents. Who wouldn't pay 50 cents to save?
Yeah.
Right.
Not like 5
Yeah.
minutes of their time.
Dude, I have that little thing to attach to my
Yeah, the Sun Pass.
license, Sun Pass.
Sun Pass.
I don't even think about it. I just
Yeah.
go right through
Yeah.
them.
So to me, man, I hope those changes come because bro, we gonna take over the.
Yeah, it's gonna happen, and I think the median household income is gonna rise extremely high, and then what's gonna happen? We have no more space here. You can't unless you're going up, you have no more.
Right.
You have
Same
no
thing that's
space.
happening in Miami. They're buying off neighborhoods and building high rises.
Yeah.
If you can't build out to the Everglades stops you, and then you got the beach.
Problem
after
is
that,
it's
that'll
hard.
build up.
It's hard to build tall buildings here because of this. So everything is just sand, dog. So you can't really make a well foundation to support something
Yeah.
so big.
I was reading some
They're
stuff
changing that
online,
too,
and
yeah.
I
I'm
read
sure
that
there's new
some-
technology and they're figuring it out. I'm sure.
I was reading some stuff online, and I was reading that a lot of the development from places like San Francisco, San Diego are actually moving into downtown St. Pete as well. I think
Yeah.
there's like a $4 billion project.
Yeah.
Well, $4 billion is nothing. It was about almost 6-7 years ago when
R.I.P. Jerry.
yeah. Vaynerchuk was a big guy in New Jersey. They moved in with $34 billion, bought up half of downtown Tampa.
Wow.
The entire channel side area, they just bought everything out. I think it was like 6 million square feet.
Yeah, that's what you'll do. You get a big developer to come out here and,
And
make,
just
and
build up
offer
everything.
people or see, and they'll take over.
Ozzy hit it on the dot. St. Pete and the surrounding areas are being bought out, filled with townhomes and apartments.
Yeah.
So that's literally what's happening, and not just townhomes, even communities with actual houses, bro. All these big companies are just coming in, buying out freaking old neighborhoods and stuff like that, or not old neighborhood, empty land and stuff like that. And bro, the problem is one of the reasons the houses here are so expensive, and on top of the crisis, is that there aren't any houses to buy because all these guys are taking this land, buying old houses, fixing them up, and not selling.
Yeah.
They're not selling. They're renting. They're renting houses. They won't
Dude, and in
sell.
Miami,
They know what they have.
That's the issue in Miami. That's why they call Hialeah agua fango y puteria. But anyway,
I didn't know that one.
but when you look in Miami, you're looking for rent right now. Yeah, you can find a beautiful efficiency for about $1,800, doggy. Yeah, you know, and your kitchen is right next to you, so you can cook your eggs while you're in bed.
You don't need to go anywhere yet.
Take a piss over on the side of the bathroom. The toilet's kind of right here. So, bro, and it's $1,800 a month. It's ridiculous. The rates are ridiculous.
It's
and then
crazy.
during,
And
after
the craziest thing is that people are willing to pay it.
No, not only that, because they have to. You don't have a choice, kiddo. Either that or leave Miami. It's post-COVID that you had everybody wanting to leave, you know, and hit Miami. Miami is like the in spot for people.
Well, Florida was like one of the only states that stayed open because with the amount of tourism that
Well,
comes
it's not
here.
the only state. Texas, Florida.
I said
a couple
one of
other-
the-
yeah.
What happens
One
to
of
these
the main
motherfuckers
states.
is like right now you got your wife, let's say, and you're about to buy a house, and you got the 10% that you guys have been saving for the last 10 fucking years, and all of a sudden you got your pre-approval letter, or your realtor took you to the property, you're about to cut the ribbon, and motherfucker comes with full cash price offer, and
Yeah,
50
forget it.
G's on top of it, boom, and you're like,
Yeah.
damn,
What are you gonna do with it? Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And that's happened. I mean, in businesses, it happened to me.
Yeah, because
got-
making that money, monthly money, is not important anymore. They're just looking at it as like 5 years later, this property is gonna be double the value.
To them right now, man, it's all about turning a buck. And, I don't blame them. Business is business. You got to learn, if you have opportunity, there's a lot of opportunity in chaos, and that's what they've done. And if you can't hang with the big boys, you got to close shop, just like I did. And
I
it's
do
the way
think
it
that what do you think? More of a question in the same. I'll frame it that way. What do you think would be the downside to them implementing something like to where they would limit these mass investment groups and all these big companies that are buying out all this land and keeping it limited to the actual daily consumer that wants to purchase a home?
It'll be impossible. It's gotten to the point where in order for it to progress, like you're seeing, and the development to progress and to bring in all these new developments and stuff like that, they're not going to sit and wait for the single family member, and feel sorry for us to. Nah, they're going to continue.
I mean, I know
can is survival of the fittest.
I know, like in New York and California, buying a house. What the fuck are you talking about? You can't. New York and California in most parts.
I just looked at the amount of money you need to have to afford a like basic home. I think California was up there. I think they were talking about $250,000 for you to buy a home. That needs to be your household income. $250,000.
Oh shit!
$250,000 puts you at the 5% earners of United States.
And that's what you need to
5%
buy a
earners.
home.
That's to buy a home.
Yeah.
5% earners of United States. A lot of people don't understand how money works. Like a lot of people look at their social media and see a guy in a Lambo with a Richard Mille in the hand, so they're thinking everyone else is like that, right? Because that's
They're
their
not,
feed.
baby, believe
But they're not. 250,000 is only 5% of United States. Top 1% is making 600 or almost 700,000. That's top 1%. That's 3.4 million people that are making $600,000 and above.
Most people in Miami, Jay, are doing that. You get a $4,000 rent. You got 4 roommates paying
Yes.
$1,000 each. So you got a nice house with a pool, but you got 4 people you got to be living
Yep.
with. And it's,
And there's no more thinking about the future. Okay, what are you going to do in the future?
And
Like
if you nowadays, it also gets to the point where let's say that somebody's in an unhappy relationship or somewhere where sometimes you're tied in because of finances, and that also, it's hard because, one person can't sustain the property or can't sustain all the bills by themselves. It's, becoming very difficult, to sustain the lifestyle, in Miami.
But we've done that, right? Because we want that new shiny toy. We want the new shiny TV, the new clothes, the new this, the vain. I'm guilty of it. I want the fucking new things.
Look at the thing on your fucking wrist.
Listen, the thing on my fucking wrist, I earned that shit. I'm working really hard for 20 plus years in the United States. I earned that shit, I wear it with pride. And I do it for myself, not for anyone else to know. Like I know the value of shit, right? Like a lot of times, like you want this, and then, they were talking about the $2 trillion of savings were gone in 1 year. In 1 year, we literally eliminated $2.1 trillion of savings. Why? Because people would buy now, pay here. They need that Christmas gift, this and that, without thinking, hey, maybe we need to dial back. Like, maybe it's not a good idea to buy that $700 or $1,000 console for my kid, and he's only 6 years old, but he's asking for it, right? Like maybe they need to play with dirt a little bit outside. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
If
so
you
I
don't
think
play with dirt, Jay, you don't get dirty. If you don't get dirty, you don't know what it's like to feel when you're clean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to get a little dirty.
Yeah.
In order to really
Zen,
understand.
Zen mics is very low. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. It should be better now. Yeah, it should be better now. But yeah, I think this system is ass backwards, and I don't know who he was. They were talking about they were talking to their Muslim friend, and the Muslim friend turned around to them and said, "You in America are guys stupid." They're like, "What the hell do you mean we're stupid?" You know what I mean? He's like, "Well, back home, we'll buy a nice house, buy one car, and there'll be four, five, six brothers living in a house, taking care of the parents. Everyone gets to use this nice home. They get to use the nice Ferrari. Like everybody's pulling in. They all have this together, right? But here, the minute you hit 18, you're like, oh, I'm gonna be out of the house and be independent, this and that. Motherfucker, you don't even know how to wipe your ass yet. What do you mean you're gonna be independent? You're gonna go work in a restaurant, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. What about the future? Whatever money you're gonna make, you're gonna spend it. Why don't you stay a little bit more closer to your family? You know, I don't think we have that. And I think partly, you know, the immigrant community is the answer to United States surviving and staying the number one country in the world. Immigrant community is it, right? But a lot of people don't understand that, you know. And you know, you call an immigrant person and they live a hard life and they work a hard labor and do this and they're fucking happy because they know what's the other side of the coin, right? And majority of people, you know, I'm not talking about you guys because, you know, you came in a, you know, foreign family, you grew up in a foreign family. Miggy came from Cuba on his own. I mean, you grew up in a foreign family. I came from a different country. We see this shit, right? But the ones that like second, third generation Americans, they don't fucking get it. They don't get it. Only 2% of, I think it's 2% of millionaires are inherited money. 98% is self-made.
And most of them didn't even finish school.
Most of them didn't even finish school.
I think that's why it's so important to have that worldview, like just knowing what a third world country is like.
Back to the world, the school of hard knocks, baby. I tell you, man, that's the best university you can ever have, because school doesn't mean that if you don't have schooling that you can't be successful.
So Alex is right about the Biden administration trying to put laws so these big companies don't buy up the house, and they're also developing to buy new homes. That's correct, but they're developing homes in areas where less served areas, less served communities, like Apopka. Which one of us wants to live in Apopka? Neither one of us wants to do that. No young person wants to go and live in Apopka. You know, you mentioned someone, you know, a family friend just bought a house in Valdosta, and when they said Valdosta, what? It's Valdosta. Anyway, it's like past Brendan, the city.
Middle of bumfuck nowhere, because I don't even know where it is.
I don't want to name names, but they just bought it in Bumfuck, Egypt. Home in Bumfuck, beautiful home, but it's in Bumfuck, Egypt.
The one who lived in Brandon already.
Yeah, okay. And we're like,
what are you? By my job.
Yeah, we're like, bro, what are you? Yeah, what are you doing? Like, why did you get a home there? It's like, well, it's a big home, this and that. It's like, I get it. You got the family, you got the kids, whatever. But if you ask me, I wouldn't want to live city of St. Pete. I have everything under my fingertips. Why would I want to move in bumfuck Egypt and live in bumfuck Egypt? Most people not electing to live in Apopka and this and that. Yeah, are they developing land there? 100%. But most people don't want to live in the suburbs that are not even developed suburbs yet. So, Valrico, there we go, Valrico. And
it's just, I don't even know. I never heard of that. Lived in Florida my whole life.
It's nothing. It's just It's just cow patties. You drive there. It's literally fields and sand. You know what I mean? That's all there is to it. Yeah. Do they have nice, beautiful homes there? 100% they do. Are they cheap? 100% they're cheap. But they're to go to the store, you need to drive for 45 fucking minutes.
Oh, Ozzy said, "Fuck it." He put it in the chat. Yeah, Douglas.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only reason I know about a popka or a polka or something like that,
a popka, yeah,
is because my mom used to go and buy orchids from there when she had the orchid shop. And so we would.
It's all fields.
But that's the only reason I know about that place. I bet that if my mom didn't sell orchids, I wouldn't even know about a popka.
Yeah. Now, if you want some great Mexican food, you go to Waimama. Waimama has one of the best Mexican foods out there. You want authentic Mexican food? Waimama is between the park we go biking and the water. So it's on Alafai. Yeah, it's between Alafai.
I've gone with you guys.
Yeah. So you pass by this town, and all you have is, you know, a couple of stores, and the stores sell, it's very funny, the clothing that they have up front is, for the guys, it's helmets and like reflective gear, and for the girls is like the tight leggings. That's what they have outside, funny, you know. And then as you drive down, you get a couple of Mexican restaurants, you get a little fruit stand that they'll chop up the fruit right there for you, put a little bit of tahini on top and sprinkle it, you know, douse it with the hot sauce for you. You want good tacos, things like that, yeah, get it there. But to live there, bro, like, as a young guy, what the fuck are you gonna do? You're gonna go Alafaya every night? Like, no, that doesn't work that way, you know. Here, you want to go out with your girl, you go by the waterfront, you walk downtown St. Pete, you go to Clearwater, you want to walk the dog, be around people, you know. Here's your community out there, yeah. Very close to Orlando. what is it saying?
St. Pete is Tampa, little gay brother.
No,
You're not wrong.
I'd agree.
I think Tampa is St. Pete's gay older brother. You know what I mean? Gay, bigger older brother. Because I think, in my opinion, St. Pete is much better than Tampa.
I think they're both half gay.
No, bro.
One's in the closet. One's gay. The other one's in the closet.
No, I think you'll be surprised. I think St. Pete, if you want to take it,
you off for a second now.
if you want to take it in a political sense, I think St. Pete is very moderate. I think this is a perfect place for you, whether you're a Republican, Democrat, or Independent. I think St. Pete itself is pretty good. St. Pete, Tampa area. Right. Everything else kind of starts becoming either very right, very left. But I think St. Pete is very in the middle. Right, when it comes to that.
Now I'm gonna fuck with you all, and you're gonna see the whole chat line. Everybody gonna go crazy now. So, USC 302.
Yeah.
Islam
versus
Poirier.
I don't know.
Who you got?
I think.
Did you see their face off? They
almost went. Poirier's telling him, "I'm gonna fucking
yeah.
I'm gonna knock you out, motherfucker. You're gonna sleep.
Yeah.
What is it?
I'm gonna sleep you, something like that. I'm gonna sleep you or something. Yeah.
It's gonna be an interesting fight. But before we go to that,
Paulo Costa talking about Strickland being a liberal bitch.
Did you see
hilarious. They always gotta talk shit.
Paulo Costa just ordered a necklace from Moses that said secret juice.
I wanted to post that actually because so there's this jeweler named Moses. He's really into watches. Me and Jay really like watches. We like his content.
Well, he's into jewelry. Period.
Yeah, he actually started as a jeweler and then got into watches.
Right. So let's start off with the first fight on the main card. Who we got there?
Go down.
Go down a second. No,
go down.
Scroll down a little bit. So
right
up. Early prelims.
Right
Let's
there.
go. There you go.
Randy Brown. I don't know these guys.
Eliseo dos Santos, I got over Randy Brown. What about Nico Price, Alex Morono? Nico's my boy. I saw that kid grow up.
I've seen Nico fight. I don't know about.
I've seen Nico, man. I've seen Nico since he was a snot-nosed kid in Fort Myers. If he sees me, Nico, I love you. Man, he's come a long way. I just saw him in a seminar in Miami over at Atlantis Jiu-Jitsu. It's a friend of mine's school, and I love Nico, man. He's a great fighter. Now, Holland Oleksiejczuk. Oh, that's a good fight.
I'm waiting for Holland's talking shit.
The thing with Holland is that his fight IQ, man. He makes the biggest mistakes. He wrestles when he should fucking strike.
Yeah.
He strikes when he should wrestle. It's like, dude, I love the guy. He's amazing, but
I want to see, I wish every Kevin
Dustin
Holland
is
fight,
going to retire after he knocks out Islam, boss.
Yes, I like to see Kevin fight in the Apex. Because you can hear him talking shit.
Bro, have you seen him?
So hilarious,
Did you guys, anybody see the fight with him and GhettoRig? He's talking to GhettoRig. I had a dream about this. I had a dream that we were going to do it. Then all of a sudden, knocks out GhettoRig after he just said this shit.
From on the ground, off his back.
Yeah, bro. He develops a lot of power.
And who was he before he fought GhettoRig? I think it was even before he fought Joaquin Buckley that he was fighting this guy.
Buckley's
and
dangerous.
he was Kevin had this guy. This guy was on top, mounted. And he's saying, man, if you fight like this, you'll fuck up Israel. Like Adesanya. That shit's hilarious.
He is. He's a funny guy. So, Strickland and Alex Morono. Yeah, Dustin is after he retired. Hey, listen. Can you imagine? We were talking about that in the gym, and it's funny Ozzy writes that shit. Can you imagine if fucking Islam shoots for a takedown and Dustin lands a guillotine on Makhachev, bro? And that would be the highlight reel that's a Max Holloway moment. I would be the Max Holloway moment.
I think especially because he failed the guillotine attempt on Khabib.
On so many of them. Every time he tries, he fails it, bro.
And he had one real tight.
Yeah, bro. He had one on what's his face?
Khabib talks about it. He said, and he think I'm going to tap? My father right there, and he think I'm going to tap?
Well, so I think Poirier has a chance, and
Absolutely.
hear me out.
Oh,
hear me out. Hear me out. Why?
Don't ever.
And I think this is the only chance that the highest chance that he has to win, because they're both southpaw, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Poirier is really good counter striker with his right hand with that hook. He always catches people with that right hand, and if they're not been training that hook in a camp, they've been missing out, right?
Have you guys seen Dustin's takedown defense, Jay?
Yeah.
You take him down, he pops back up. You take him down, he pops back up. So you may take him down, but he's hard to keep down. And he's got 5 rounds to catch Islam's chin. Now, can Makhachev also knock out Dustin? Absolutely. He's not a horrible striker. Yeah. But we know that Islam, if he wants to play it safe, he's going to respect Dustin. Dustin's got nothing to lose at 35. Okay, he knows it's possibly his last chance at the title, so he ain't gotta have a problem banging a little bit with Islam. You know what I'm saying?
A little bit.
So,
Oh my
so
God.
listen, Paul.
I hope it's a brawl.
Hey, man.
But you know, that fight is gonna be a very interesting one. But I think it might be actually boring fight. This isn't me going on the
Listen,
limits.
you
It
know
might
what,
be a
Jay?
boring
You
fight.
Listen, you may be
I
100%
think you may be
correct.
right.
There's people that they respect each other a little too much. I've never really seen much of a boring Dustin fight, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Islam maybe plays a little more. He might be a little more careful.
So
but Dustin,
my thing
listen,
is
Now, Paul, go
now,
ahead. Go ahead.
there you
how
go.
well did Khabib do at controlling Dustin over the term of the fight until he RNC'd eventually, right? But that would be a big factor to me because it's gonna be a boring fight if Islam decides to game plan is take him down and we're gonna try and submit this guy.
You'd have to be a Mirab with him.
Right? So you would exactly.
You'd have to be a Mirab.
But
You'd have to be, you know,
what if it's a Khabib like how Khabib did to all these guys where he does just keep him down and control him. So let's say Dustin can't get up, like Charles couldn't get up from Arman. You know what I mean? We all thought if Charles wants to get up, he's gonna get up. He likes to be on the ground.
But Arman and Oliveira, it was, you know, I think Oliveira did a little bit more damage.
Oliveira did do more damage.
I know.
It was the control time that Arman had on top. Even though it was like you're in full guard, yes, you're doing all the raining down. Charles is trying to throw up submissions. It's hard to judge, man. It's real hard.
Usually, you're gonna give it to the person that has top control.
Exactly.
However,
especially in MMA,
you know, Petrosian, dude, this guy's, you know, all he does is take it. He's another Mirab, pretty much. You know, that's a similar type style. And
He's a Mirab with a stronger chin.
Yeah, exactly. But what happens with these guys is they constantly put you in defense mode. If you're constantly, you know, defending a takedown, you can't implement your will.
Right.
If you can't implement your will, it's kind of hard because then you got to follow their game plan.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, with me, Dustin has fought a lot of wrestlers. He's
a good jiu-jitsu guy, too.
He's not bad, man.
He's got good jiu-jitsu.
And he's got nothing to lose. So, Dustin, you know, I've lost a couple of times, you know, betting against him. I'm not betting against Dustin this time. And I know Islam is the favorite, like almost 4-1, man.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but I'd actually sprinkle on Dustin.
Did you go with Saint Denis when he was going against Dustin?
No.
You went with Dustin?
Yes.
There? Okay.
So
and look, you're gonna tell me I understand Islam is a way more dangerous grappler and you know, and wrestler.
And he has the power to put you out.
But Saint Denis is fucking nasty, bro.
Yeah. That's a killer right
there. He's nasty, bro. And Dustin took him out and put an ass whooping on him, dude. Like, I was like, holy shit. Okay, Dustin's for real.
So go back to the card again. So the one that I don't like the way it's going, like, yes, Sean Strickland talks a whole lot of shit, but Paul Acosta came in, and one thing that he said that I didn't like too much is like, I'm gonna molest like your father molested you. I get it, but there's sometimes
that wasn't Paulo. That was when he was fighting Dricus. Paulo said that as well.
Paulo said that, and
I know Dricus said that during. Yeah, I know. I remember Dricus saying it, and that's when
he talked shit about his father. Yeah, but Paulo Costa said, "I'm gonna molest you like your father molested."
Dricus said that.
Dricus said that.
Yeah.
Paulo Costa said the fucking same thing again.
That's hilarious.
Because Paulo's trying to find lines from other people to make himself relevant, bro.
And I don't know, especially if he's repeating it. Number one, if he's repeating it, is
Yayo. What's the Yayo story? Oh, Yayo story. Fuck, bro. Yeah. Come on, man. Don't put me out there like that. Dog. You really want to hear that shit? What do you want to hear, Alex?
Yeah, he's like one of the stories.
Come on, man.
These guys know
allegedly.
These guys know you, but I don't know you, and I came up here with the.
I know. After he tried failed guillotine, he's tried 100 guillotines and failed, but he swears to God he's gonna land it. That's what I'm saying. The odds will probably be plus 8,000 for, you know, Poirier to win by guillotine choke. You got to sprinkle $100 on that. If you put $50, you make $4,000, bro. Yeah. So, you know, it's like it's gonna be something crazy like that. But, you know, that last fight I ain't touching. I'm not, because, you know, the smart bet would be Islam. There's no way I'm going to put him on a 4-1 against Dustin, because Dustin can take you out at any time. I think they're disrespecting D big time. Because
what is it? What we plus 400 when we looked at it the other day, right?
It was plus 385. Right, it is?
So
the lines just widen to the point.
Go back to the card again.
If it gets to 600, let me see here.
675 versus.
You put $100 on Makhachev and you're risking 675. That's insane. You know, I put $100 on Dustin and I'm making 490 off of him. Yeah, I'll bet Dustin all day with those numbers. There's no way.
Yeah.
No.
Now, Miguel, you said you had questions. What questions?
Yeah, I was saying that these guys know you, but I don't know you, so I'm gonna ask you a couple questions that I have here. What inspired you to start fighting, and was there a particular moment or person that influenced you?
My mom.
Okay.
I'll give you the story. At the age of 5, and I remember this, bro, like it was yesterday. I left the cafeteria and turned in my little lunch tray, and I was going back to class, and there was this kid called Sasha that everybody was
How old
scared
are you
of.
again?
5.
5, okay.
So I'm in the cafeteria of my like little pre-K, and I'm coming, and I had a little gold chain that my mom had given me, a little tiny chain.
Yeah.
This motherfucker comes, bro,
Every Cuban does.
and just punched me in the stomach, boom, and snatches my chain. What? But looking dead at me, man, like what? And I looked at this kid and didn't say a fucking thing. And he took my chain and left. And I went home crying, dude, like a bitch. And my mom's like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? When I was finally able to get a word out, I said, this kid stole my chain. Bro, this lady looked at me and said, what did you do? I said, I did nothing. She did, you did nothing to get your chain back? I said, no. She said, okay, wait right here. So where the fuck this lady go? She went into the other room, dog. My tears went up my eyes, my boogers went up my nose, and she came out, bro, with a belt and beat the living fucking dicklets out of me. Anywhere but my neck and face. She caught me from the shoulders down. It was fair game. And she said, there isn't a fucking soul that's going to beat on my kid, okay, without you doing something about it. This lady took me to school the next day, okay? The kid out, bro, Eddie, I remember this like it was yesterday. The kid is having a parent-principal conference.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, already?
Yeah, for something else he did. And my mom drops me off, dude, and she's telling me, she's pointing at me to go over there and sucker punch this kid. She didn't give a fuck. Fuck him up. I'll take you to Disney, she said.
Your mom is gangster.
I'm fucking walking towards this kid, and I'm looking back at her like, dude, what the fuck you want me to do? She's pointing like, fucking go. Go. I swear to God, the ass whooping will be worse when you get home. So here I go, dude, and I walk behind this kid. His back is towards me. His mom's back is towards me.
Oh my
but the principal can see me. So she kind of like lifts her finger like, look, give me a second, because she was in this conference. And I turn around and look at my mom again. She's like,
oh, shit.
I'm like, fuck, dude, okay. So the first thing that came to mind was the mom had, what do you call those shit, an umbrella.
Umbrella, okay.
And she had it closed. She had it like a cane. So I grabbed the fucking umbrella from her hand, and when I swung it back, it opened up. And when I swung it at them, I hit principal, mother, and kid. All at the same time. Everybody freaked the fuck out. This kid fell on the ground, and I just kept hitting him and hitting him and hitting him because I was dead scared of what my mom was going to do to me.
Yeah.
She had to come running and pull me the fuck off the kid. She was like, holy shit, okay. So he definitely has aggression. Dude, this kid and I became the best of friends. The best of friends. Needless to say, I got my chain back, the whole 9 yards.
I was gonna ask, did you get that
My
chain
chain
back?
It was fucking broken because he snatched it and shit. It was in his, in his book bag. Dude, and I'm probably like a week later, she put me in my first Kempo class, and I started doing karate, and I loved it, dude. And then, I started point fighting and doing the
That's
tournaments.
actually one of my other questions here is, can you tell us a little bit about your experience in the ring cage, and how did you feel, at least like the first time that you got into it?
Absolutely, man.
Fucking stomach churning.
The first time that I went to a tournament, and it's like the only tournament my mom ever went to see, because she was like, fuck that, I can't see my
In
kid
what
get
discipline?
hit.
Same with mine.
In Kempo.
Yeah, same
All
as
right.
with our mother.
So I go, right? So you remember, if you ever, you guys are probably, way too young, but in karate tournaments, it's not like now where fucking people go and they ask for purses and they ask for money. Motherfucker, you have to go pay your way to fight. Like, I had to pay $65 to fight in a tournament, or $125 to fight in 2 divisions. Like, ain't nobody paying me. I had to go pay, make weight off of an orange juice and fucking a banana and shit like that, and wait to fight there all day.
How old are you?
Bro, I was like 6 or 7 at the time. Check this out.
Oh,
So
my
I go,
God.
yeah. I go to a tournament. My mom goes. She pays $65 for me to compete. I go into the ring, and the guy goes, "You ready? Corner ready? Fight!" Boom! Point. I'm like, God damn, what the fuck happened? I just got popped in the face. I didn't even see that shit coming. Number 2, fight! Boom! Just got kicked in the stomach. Fuck was that? Pop! 3, boom! I got ridged hand in the face. Lost. And my mom goes, I just paid $65 for your punk ass. And I'm like, Ma, I didn't know what that. She goes, that's what the fuck you did, just to lose in 5 minutes like that. And I was like, fuck, dude. Listen, the next time I pay almost $100 for your little bitch ass to compete, you fucking fight. Because I just like stood there and froze, you know what I mean? And dude, I did hundreds and hundreds of tournaments after that. Did very well. Came out in Black Belt magazine, came out, I competed in kickboxing, after my point fighting era. I joined the kickboxing scene, did very, very well. Never wanted to make it pro. Never wanted, my thing was more, I always liked to be an instructor more than anything. But, I had my fun competing, wrapping up, walking, but nothing, on this level. MMA, dude, I was the first person in the 90s to catch MMA when it was UFC 1. Dan Severn, Shamrock, the Gracies, watching it when it was tournament style fighting. And I just fell in love with the art all the way, up until now. And I've never stopped training, never stopped, fighting, sparring. And, my BJJ, I haven't gotten ranked. I got ranked by one instructor, a blue belt, one instructor, a purple belt, but I hate the gi. So, I hate the gi, man.
What's been the most challenging moment in your career? And what did you do to fix it?
When I lost my mom is probably the most challenging time because I kind of went a little AWOL after that. It was, believe it or not, the most opportunity that I ever had in my life because I started fucking selling ecstasy and I owned my own gym and I was making
Allegedly.
a shitload of money.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I
don't know, maybe long enough. The statute of limitations might be good on that.
We're good, man. Yeah, I didn't get popped then. I won't get popped now.
Yeah.
Making too much money for my own good and never did anything with it that was worth anything. I did own my gym at the time, so I was bodybuilding, competing, doing all sorts of fucking steroids, drugs, mixed partying.
I was about to say,
a
lot of steroids back then.
It was a mixture of, it was one of those where, you want to kind of like numb the pain. And I numbed it with partying, hanging out, doing shit that I wasn't supposed to do. And I'm thankful to God that I never got arrested because I worked as an officer for so many years. But dude, just reckless shit, living that Miami life. Pretty much.
And then to fix that setback, you basically, got into martial arts, became more disciplined.
I was a martial artist since I was 5, bro. That shit didn't stop me, bro. I was fighting and competing. I was still a fucking crazy wreck. I'd still go out on the weekends and party and, still get ready for... that didn't slow me down. What slowed me down was, getting to the point where if I continued how I was going, I was going to lose my life. And I loved my mom a little too more for that. So I said, what would be the man that she would like me to be and grow to be? And I made the immediate changes. I won't get into religion, but I did become Christian. It's something major changed in me, man. And I can't explain it because it's something that's personal to me.
How old were you at this time?
Bro, I'm talking about, I got baptized 2018.
Okay, so you're in 30s, in your 30s then.
2018. I'm 55, Jay.
No.
This was and I'm talking 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I was 50.
Okay.
Yeah, bro. When I finally, I got my life together, you know what I mean? And I was, already a business owner and, doing my things. It's maturity that got me out of the shit. But when I got saved per se, was when I actually decided to take on Christ.
Who are some of
your...
So
let me, before you go any further.
Go for
it. I'm a big proponent that easy money comes with slow problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Easy money always comes with slow problems. Allegedly, you did this and did that. That was basically, yes, it's easy money, but at the same time, it's not necessarily that easy of a money, right?
Right.
How were you able to navigate those waters? Because those are dangerous waters, right? What was the number one thing that you would say that you took from it and you say, well, that was a life lesson, like I could take this with me to the grave and always going to be true?
Luck, babe. I had something watching over me, Jay, like there's no tomorrow, because not only do they call me, all my boys, all my friends, if anybody was watching right now, they call right up, this motherfucker's the cat. My 9 lives, I'm here on borrowed time, homie. Okay, I got shot in the face. I mean, bro, I just stabbed. If I go into my life, which we don't need to today, you'll be like, what, dude, serious? I'm like, yeah, one of those. And that's why I say when we mentioned the thing of the University of Hard Knocks, it's kind of what gives you the backbone to be able to survive in life. You got to be a survivor in order to make it, and you have to have the mindset in order to make it. And the reason why we're talking about all these people, why they crack and crumble and the bullying and the bullshit, is because they don't have the mindset to handle it, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, you would be a stronger person. You won't let these outside influences get to you.
Yeah, and that's the tough part, like, because you want the world to be built, continue to be built. Like, 100. Who's gonna take over? I'm sure younger generation gonna get their shit together eventually. They'll get there slowly, but
someone's gonna have to do it.
So listen, I'm not gonna give Alex a yayo story, but I'm gonna give you a good one real quick, fast one. All right. So I had a friend of mine when I worked in corrections, and this guy's an inmate, not going to mention names. And I came to work one day, and this guy was raped. So they had, when the officers were doing head count, they found him in the back. 2 inmates had knocked him out with a broomstick, and they raped him, bro. And you're a man, I'm a man, we're all men here. You know that's something to do. They take your ass. That's like, come on now. That's like the worst thing you can fucking do to a man. And I'm not knocking women. I'm just saying. I know it's horrible for anybody.
Right.
So I don't want to make it seem like it's any worse for anybody, but I'm saying they knock you out, they rape you in prison, and they leave you there. So I went, and we had this thing called Ward D in Jackson, where you would transport inmates and stuff. And I had a really cool lieutenant, and this guy that I'm talking about was my trustee. Now, a trustee is somebody that's got a certain amount of time left in jail. So they allow him to work. They wear a different jumper. They're able to go up and down the elevators with me. They'd feed the breakfast, lunch, and dinner trays to the other inmates, so forth and so on.
Okay.
So when I went to visit him at Ward D, which is the hospital where you keep the inmates next to Jackson, he's crying, obviously, and going crazy. I know this guy from the streets, man, and I'm taking care of him in there too, because we're, like brothers. And the one thing that I told him was like, listen, Papa, don't, you're not any less of a man. I mean, you got knocked out cold. And this guy would just cry to me, bro, and tell me, I swear to God, if there's anything that I'm going to do is get these guys back. And I said, you're going to have to learn to live with the fact that you're not going to be able to, because these guys are already on interstate compacts to another facility outside of here. So you're done. That conversation ended, guys, and we continued working. His, sorry to say, ass healed, because they had him sewed up and sitting on a donut, bro. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to see as a man, to see my friend like that. Bro, he's got, I would say, 3-4 weeks to get out. And I come to work one day and I go to the lieutenant, hey, LT, man, it's I don't remember if it was Memorial or Labor Day, but it was one of your President's Day. It was one of these holidays that if you work, you get overtime and triple time because it's a holiday. Right. So I used to work the 3 to 11 shift, afternoons. And I go, hey, LT, give me a good spot for OT, man. I want to make some money. He goes, well, go to 4, 5, or 6. Now, 4th floor, 5th floor, and 6th floor. If anybody knows anything about Miami, and DCJ is called House of Pain. Because those 3 floors, general population, is where it gets funky, bro. And they all loved me there. So I go to my floor and I tell George, I'm sorry, I mentioned the fucking name. I tell my boy, yo, I already mentioned this was my boy George. Go get some linen. Go get towels. Get the Rolodexes. I got some guys coming in for court in the morning. He gets the Rolodexes and dips. All right. I go up. I get my coffee. I get my shit. We're supposed to play spades, hang out. All of a sudden, he doesn't come back. And doesn't come back. Doesn't come back. Obviously, he's in the jail. He's a trustee. I know he's there. I'm like, fuck, where's this guy at? So I'm calling on the radio downstairs. Have you guys seen George? He's on his way up. I had already put all these inmates inside their cells, their respective cells. He comes upstairs. And I said, dude, where the fuck you been? Nah, man, I had to get the linen and this and that. I go, bro, we're going to play spades or what? He goes, dude, I got a horrible headache. Can you please take me to the clinic? Dude, fuck, man, right now you're going to fuck with me like this? It's midnight, George, really, dude? He goes, oh, man, I got a headache. Can you take me to the clinic? Took him to the clinic. And at that time, they give you an ice pack and 2 Tylenols. The second that the nurse grabbed the ice pack, he took it real quick, put it to his head, grabbed his 2 Tylenols, boom, I took him upstairs. Put him in a cell, and it's a wrap. This must be 1 o'clock in the morning now. Bro, at 4 a.m., that cell looked like it was shaking and rumbling and shaking and rumbling, and they're kicking on the fucking doors and this and that. And when I run out there with 2 other officers that we had in the cell and open the door, they are all literally standing like this, man, with their hands by their nuts right next to their bunk, not saying a word, like almost like parade rest in the army. You know, what the fuck is all this noise and what's going on? And they're like, dude, one guy was freaking out, shaking. And one guy just points to the back. So I walk to the back of the room, and as I'm walking, when I finally get to the back, I look, and I'm like, the fuck, am I seeing what I'm seeing? All I saw was a bunk, sheets covering whatever body would be on that bunk, and that shit looked like a scene from Friday the 13th, bro. I'm talking blood on the person, on the top of the bunk, on the walls. I'm like, what in the fuck is this, dude? And I'm like, dude, sound the alarm. They sounded the alarm. Homicide is out there at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. This is my OT, dude, on this day. All right. We give everybody an incident report. We pull all the inmates out of the cell. Everybody's fuck the police. I was asleep. I saw nothing. You know, all the chickens are not going to rat each other out. George is a trustee. He's got 2 weeks left, so he's back there washing a shirt. And he's sitting there with a little smirk on his face. They get all of these inmates, guys, and they get them all and transfer them out of the facility because nobody was
what's going on,
talking. I have an inmate with 65 multiple stab wounds, and he doesn't have a face. Now, think about what I'm saying. He doesn't have a face. His face is gone. It's like melted. And I'm like, what am I looking at here, dude? So homicide's getting there. Pictures everywhere. They declared it a crime scene. The whole 9 yards. No weapons. We did an entire shakedown of that entire cell. No weapons. So life goes on. 2 weeks go by. Georgie's about to leave. And he was also in East Kitchen unit. He was also always a really good cook.
So one of the guy, there was only one
guy.
That was one of the guys that did this to
I
George.
didn't know anything.
Huh?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. So that's the beauty of this. I don't know. And I don't ask.
Okay. They never caught the guys that, okay.
No weapons, Ed. So no weapons. You got a guy with multiple stab wounds. You got to find the weapon and somebody's got to say I did it or he did it. You got, it's like, what is it? So, dude, this gets crazy. George is about to leave. He's got his papers already and this and that, man. And we're hugging. He's got about a day or two left. And he tells me, hey, man, don't you want to know how I did it? And, dog, I turn around and say, listen, man, that's gentleman shit. You know I ain't going to ask you shit. He goes, come on, Georgie, come here, bro. Takes me off to the fucking side with his little face like, dog, I'm like, this motherfucker, bro. This fucking guy.
Psycho.
Said, I didn't have as much of a headache as I pretended to have. So when I took the ice pack from Nurse Salas, because se llamaba Salas, the name of the nurse, I took a whole block. You're supposed to mash the ice and give it crushed ice. Check this out, bro. This motherfucker went upstairs, ripped open the bag with a block of ice like this, and he got 2 little prongs because the inmates, whenever they want to heat their Lipton cup of noodle soups and all this shit, they put 2 little prongs right there in the light socket, and they put stuff on top, and they heat it. Hence why he didn't have a face. This motherfucker grabs a tin can and starts filling it up with peanut butter. And he put it to boil. And he sat there and took off all his fucking clothes in his bunk and started molding that ice pick, dog, till it was a pick like this. And then he got up at like 4 o'clock in the morning with his fucking boiling peanut butter and flicked that shit on homie's face. And while he was sitting there flopping and flocking on his fucking bunk because he was gotten burned, he jumped on top of us and stabbed him 60 some odd times. The last one, he shoved it up his ass. Where's the weapon?
Melted.
Up his ass. I am not fucking lying to you, bro. True story. As true as my fucking name, bro. It melted up his ass.
That's fucking crazy.
It melted up his ass. No weapons. Nobody found shit. George went home. And he had his revenge.
Damn. I mean, it's like, even if
they
you
took his ass, he took his life.
Even if you would have questioned, like,
right.
What's that in your pants? Piss? I mean, I just went through some crazy ass shit. You probably shit yourself too.
Bro, and when I tell you, man, things I saw in there, guys, was, I'm glad I'm out of there. Insane. You don't leave that place the same person. Especially if you worked in the era that I did. No cameras, no nothing. Ain't cameras in the cells. You'd hear the hollering of people getting.
No one clipped this.
I'm talking bad.
No one clipped this.
Bad, bro. Bad. So that's a little war story. I thought I'd leave you with in corrections, man.
So let's switch the subject.
Yeah,
let's switch the subject. Let's talk about so today in a court they Donnie got charged with 34 counts of felony, right?
You're going there.
Yeah, Donnie got charged with 34 counts of fraud. Now I don't want to talk about why or why not. What I do want to talk about is that I in my opinion, this is what's going to happen. 2 things are going to happen. I think 1, they made a martyr out of him, and number 2, what happened, I think they just opened the door for suing a candidate if you don't like him or you don't want him to be there, right? Find whatever it needs to be, whether it's right or wrong. In this case, they convicted him. That means it must be right. To sue a candidate. So what do you guys think as far as taking these type of tactics against someone that's going against you? Do you think it's going to be beneficial or not in the whole process?
The reason why I try to stay away from politics, Jay, is because everybody has an opinion. And everybody may have a valid point to a certain extent. But in order to see this as a whole, you have to see it for what it truly is. And a lot of people don't. Do you or do you not see it as a witch hunt? Do you or do you not see it as somebody that's being gagged and not able to present a proper case? Do you see it as something that has been plotted, schemed? I mean, you're seeing many people reach like De Niro and people coming out and speaking. So it's gotten to the point that it's this side against this side. And what I've done when it comes to this is I've drawn a line in the sand, okay, into what my morals, my beliefs, my everything is since I was raised by my mom, okay? And the one thing that I do know, and the only thing that I could attest to, is that I don't care about mentioning names. I don't care about mentioning what administration, whether you're red, blue, motherfucker, you ain't Crips and Blood, so stop talking about
neither one of them bought you a sandwich.
All right? So now, if you want to talk about the life that I was living, that I saw myself getting up every day, okay, in 2019, before we had this closed down and this bullshit, there was a sense of normality. I was making money. There wasn't any bullshit. Women knew who the fuck women were. Men knew who the fuck men were. You didn't have me calling somebody a they, them, he, she, are, we, they. Fuck you, dog. Okay? I am a type of person that I can respect anything. Listen, if you want to put on a pink tutu, dog, and you want to run down fucking Starkey, okay, screaming, I'm a fucking hoe, do whatever you want to do, dude, I respect it. Just don't expect me to cater to your lunacy. I have my way of thinking. You have your way of thinking. Another thing, if I wear something on my body, like a hat or like a something, and you have such a problem with it where you want to physically take it off my body, I'm going to body slam you on the fucking floor and I'm going to kick you to sleep. Why?
Without hooks.
Without hooks. No hooks in.
No hooks in.
So, bro, it's like, I believe in live and let live. I don't think that that's happening anymore. I don't think that it's happened for a while. I don't want to get into the whole COVID fiasco, closing down who, was deemed essential and non-essential, because my business was a business of saving kids. A business of saving kids. And I was the first one deemed non-essential, but I can walk down or ride down to the corner store and buy myself a quart of alcohol and drown my sorrows. You understand? It's just, I believe in what I believe in because I know what my, rights as a human being per what I believe in America as far as a constitution of freedom is supposed to entail. When you get my 50 United Nations flags, I'm not against gay people because even gay people had a huge problem with this, and you switch my 50 United Nations flag to the pride flags, I have a problem with it. As a Christian, I don't care what religion you follow. But if you're walking down the street parading your pride parades, and right next to you, you got a group with a Baphomet fucking sign, then are you a devil worshiper? Are you into pride? Or what are you into? What are you marching for? What are you? It's just chaos and anarchy. And then when I see a lot of these Muslims, which I don't mind Muslims, I don't care who's Muslims, because you have radical Christians, you have radical Muslims, you have radical everything. But when you're in America and you're driving down the street saying death to America, kill all Americans, and you're accepting this, I have a problem with this. Because I don't hear many other religions going down the street chanting death to whatever. Death to the Jews, death to this person, death to that person. So to me, when you're trying to hurt my fellow brother or sister, okay, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with the way this administration has ran everything from the beginning up until now. And I hope that it changes soon. And all I got to say is, I didn't really care for Trump until I started seeing a lot of the things that I've been seeing since 2016. And whether it's him or not him, I hope to God that this motherfucker comes back. Okay? And whoever gets pissed off at me, I really don't care. And dick slaps the living fuck of all these liberal dem fucktards. That's how I feel. Well, if you want to, my God's honest truth. And whoever feels differently, I'm cool with that. They're not going to change my mind. They're never going to tell me anything about Biden and that pedophile, child-sniffing piece of shit prick that's going to make me think any different. And I'm sorry, guys. That's the way that I feel. And you know, it is what it is.
So something to be said that when this whole thing started in the beginning, when they were running against each other, right? When they polled New York, he was, I think, 20 some points behind. New York, a very liberal ass state. He was 20 points behind. Right now, the latest polls are showing that he's only 8 points behind. Now, does he have chance to win New York? No, I would say maybe 10% chance that he will win New York, right? It's a very slim chance that he would ever gain and win New York. But this to me speaks volumes. When a state that's been known for being extremely, extremely liberal starting to shift and go towards, now Donnie is not necessarily the ideal candidate. No, neither is Biden. They're both, to me, are not very good candidates, right? But people are understanding they have to vote for someone, and people overwhelmingly in the states that's supposed to be liberal to the core are switching. To me, this saying, I don't know if this is an issue within our society. Are we moving things too fast? We need to give it some time. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is, but I think with this conviction, they made a martyr out of him. And I think if there was a person out there that had a doubt in their mind, they're going to say, you know what, I'm switching to Trump's side right now. I think they might have shot themselves in the foot by doing this.
That's why I try not to get into the topic, because what happens is everybody's got their way of thinking. And with me, I respect everyone's way of thinking. So what I would like to do is I'd like to tell everybody, let's wait and see what happens. All right? Let's just wait and see what happens, because I have faith. What I feel is going to happen. But at the end of the day, dude, with the way that things are happening right now, right before the elections, whoever can't really understand, look, if anybody can tell me that I haven't seen, which I have in my phone, videos of the president's fucking son in a bomber jacket, naked, walking down the beach with a hooker doing fucking drugs, nobody cares.
No.
If Don Jr. much less doesn't even have a parking ticket, but he's got 158 fucking indictments because of the shit they're doing to his father. So at the end of the day, I'm against bullying regardless. So you don't like something about Trump, Stormy Daniels bullshit. If you go back and make a comparison of what you're saying Trump's crimes are or what he's being, it's because you need to have something on him. If not, you know.
And I think both sides are looking at that. They're saying, is my candidate a net positive or they're a net negative?
And let me ask you this, guys. One of the things when Trump was president, because one says he's not a good candidate. I respectfully disagree. Why? When it comes to foreign policy, that man walked over and grabbed Putin by the dick and said, come here. He went and did the same thing with in China. He did the same thing with every single person that everybody in the administration said, this guy's a hothead. You're going to fucking have a war the second that he's got the launching codes to fucking start. What did he do? There wasn't a fucking a soldier killed in Iraq. There wasn't a war started. There wasn't an issue with any one of our foreign policy holders. Until when? Till now. Now we've been as close to a fucking global war than we've ever been. We've had Russian fucking ships on our coast, Chinese spy balloons in our atmosphere. But you still want to blame one person? Do whatever you want to do. Blame whoever you want to blame. Why, if Trump is no longer president, is he still such an issue? He's an issue because he's such a threat to these people. And that's what I see on a daily basis, that he can bring the whole fucking ring down.
No, I think when you get to those levels, it's just when you get to those levels, it's like, who's washing my back and who's going to win in this if I become a president? And everyone is kind of at this point are taking their sides, right? And there's overwhelming reports coming out that a bunch of billionaires are going and starting to support Trump's campaign.
Why?
And then the funny thing was, after the conviction, pretty much Biden and his administration released like, oh look, this is he's a convicted felon, so donate to our cause, right? To me, that was kind of a little bit funny, like, everything that they're doing, they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Like, if you want to win, you shouldn't be going about this way, because you understand that, like, the only way, unless you convict him with insurgency, there's no other way. Like, he can be behind bars going as a president. And guess what? The insurgency is the only thing.
Yeah, the insurrection.
Insurrection.
So anybody that watched the insurrection, you got the Capitol Police opening up the gates, guiding people in. And so you want to call it whatever you want to call it. You know, a couple of months ago, they had to fucking put gates and shit all over the front of the Capitol because you have people in there trying to get in and trying to whatever. But no, they had weapons. They're burning down the fuck. Did you see any insight of violence? Did you see anybody fighting? Did you see any weapons? Did you see any guns? Did you see any rifles? Did you see the Capitol Police letting people in? Do you not see videos of FBI agents all over the crowd in civvies? And people are saying, this is Agent so-and-so. What are they doing there in the crowd? Why?
No, I think a lot of this around, because there's just so much money. I mean, we saw this with Ryan Garcia thing, right? When he won against Haney, right? Even though they didn't give him the title, but there were so many people betting against Garcia, and they lost a whole lot of money. And after that, it also came out. You know. I think this is the same situation.
Yeah, it's tested twice now.
No,
whatever.
No. About the shit of Bohemian Grove, seeing that the fucking...
Oh, yeah.
I know that it's crazy. I know Ryan Garcia speaks a lot of shit, but Alex Jones pulled the plug on that shit years ago. So he's repeating the same thing that's been repeated by a lot of people that were supposedly present in these things. So
he was just saying shit to make people think he was crazy.
Yeah, and I think in Ryan Garcia's case, the reason this whole thing came about because a bunch of people lost a bunch of fucking money. And I think in this case that's what it is. A bunch of people stand to lose a bunch of money. And I think when you have the money and when you have the power and when you have the control, you don't want to give it up, right? And I think it just trickles down in the system. And I call it conspiracy if you want. I think this is the reason why we're raising our men not to be men anymore. Because who's going to be the one to challenge the system? The men, right? And if you get them docile, their testosterone levels low, feed them plastics, microplastics, and tell them everybody can get a fucking participation trophy, they're not going to want to challenge anyone, right?
One of the things that I say when I go back to my kids program, as I say, I don't give Johnny G awards or participation awards. If you lose, your punk ass has to go home and learn how to lose. You learn a lot more from your losses than your victories. Okay, losses keep you humble. Victory keeps you cocky. So when somebody doesn't know the meaning of defeat, they don't know how to come back from that. Sometimes, have you ever seen somebody that's an undefeated fighter has his first loss and that crumbles him?
Yeah.
And then there's people that can actually
look at Volk. After he got knocked out, bro, he just fucking took a bunch of he went down a couple of times right after he got knocked out by Makachev.
It's like anything, man. When you feel like you're on top and all of a sudden you come crumbling down, at some point in time, if you can't pick yourself up, dust yourself off and do it again, you don't know what the feeling of failure is.
And you know what's the funny part? Every fucking presidential election that I've lived in this country and before lived in this country, this is the most important election. This is going to decide what the country is going to be like. Until this day, nothing fucking happened. I think it's just more of a hype who's going to be the president at the end of the day. It doesn't fucking matter. Neither way. And Bill Burr said this the best. You know, he goes, when was the last time somebody approached you and asked you for an advice, right? Like, or saying who you're gonna vote for, or when was the last time they bought you a fucking they bought you a sandwich, right? And neither one of them do that, right? And we kind of like religiously follow one side or another side and forgetting that it's the same stick. It's just the other
other side of there is corruptions on both sides of the field. It's always been that way. That's why, to me,
most people are lost in a fucking tiniest details.
All I ask for in this world is for myself, my friends, family member, and everybody to live in the same freedoms that I've always lived in. That's it. Nothing else and nothing more. And and I don't feel that we've lived that, and nowhere near. And it's gotten to the point where, for instance, and I'll leave it at this, man, because this is one of the things that really got to me. When you had all these frontline heroes, nurses, doctors, the police over in New York, the media made absolute heroes out of these people. You had pictures of New Yorkers hugging cops. Everybody was, united in this sadness until the vaccine came and the mandatory bullshit came. Now, all these frontline heroes were all a piece of shit, only because some of us, including myself, did not want to take this experimental drug. I respect the fact that anybody that wants to take it can take it. Dude, it's your body. Like I said, do what you want to do. But if I don't want to take it, I shouldn't be forced to. And if I don't, you're going to tell me that I can't have a medical bed? You had people saying people that are not vaccinated should just die. You had actors and people on TV saying, if this motherfucker goes and has, COVID, I don't think that he should have a bed next to another person that is vaccinated. Everything proved to be the complete opposite. Now you got vaccination issues with the myocarditis, with the people not knowing what the fuck to do. Ivermectin didn't work, but now we know that it did. So you're getting to the point now that all of us that decided not to take it, neither one of us have, feel whatsoever any type of remorse not taking it at all. We don't feel bad whatsoever. It's like, I thank God I didn't. But I have a lot of my friends and family, my girl, her daughter. So I'm not talking about it doesn't come far from home, that have taken it because of their job before we actually met. So, when people, and I even tell my people, say, man, we were forced. Were you? Were you forced? Did somebody grab you? Like you see in some of these other places where they grab the soldier. Have you seen the soldier that was grabbed amongst, by about 6 or 7 other soldiers, and they just gave him the vax whether he liked it or not? What the fuck is that, bro? You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's like, if you have a choice to do something and you're telling me that I can't go in here, I can't go in there, I can't get medical services, I can't go from here to the corner because I don't have a shot, what is that? If it's not a fucking, communism to me, as far as I'm concerned, because what else are you going to call it? What else are you going to call it? If you're not giving me my right to do with myself what I feel is correct, when at the end of the day you're saying, no, but if you don't take the shot, you're not saving lives. And at the end of the day, most of the people that took shots are now carriers. They're now spreading it more than everybody. It's like, what's the point to begin with? What did it do? If somebody tells me this helped save lives, this helped do this helped do that, what exactly did it do?
Well, playing devil's advocate in here, back then they didn't know, right? They didn't know what this is, and that was like the Hail Mary, right?
Okay.
And now that the data is coming out and you're seeing these things happening, at that time it made sense for them to do it, but now they're coming out and saying maybe this wasn't the right thing, right?
Now, when a lot of people were dying, Jay, do you know what medicine they were giving them?
And it was the
remdesivir,
and also that antiviral that Joe Rogan was talking about.
Well, they weren't giving it to them because that's the whole problem. Why I had, a quick story which I didn't finish at the gym. I had a great friend of mine who's a doctor in Kansas. He argued with me, bro, to the death that ivermectin did not work.
Yeah,
and that Joe Rogan was fucking taking the horse tranquilizers. He agreed with the whole agenda. He got shot, quadruple boosted, all that shit. He told me one day, do me a favor, bro, and you stick to getting punched in the face and I'll stick to medicine. Thank you very much. I was like, Doc, I am so sorry. I apologize, my brother. All I was doing was asking you for your information because I believe that ivermectin does work. But what I want to do is, I want to tell you, you're absolutely right. I'll stick to getting punched in the face. But why don't you do this? Why don't you talk to your 17,000 colleagues that are in this white coat convention that do have data, that have tried ivermectin on their patients, and it's worked 100% of the times, instead of arguing with little old me. So what happens? I caught COVID 4 times. Every single time I caught it, I did the same cocktail I've always done. Jay, on my mother's eyes, bro. In 3 days, I didn't feel anything. I would take a test and it was already negative, dude, and I was feeling pretty bad. And I did the same thing. Azithromycin, my what do you call it? The ivermectin, okay, and my vitamin C, and how it was prescribed, brother, $1 million. Starts getting to the point where they came out with, I think it's Plaxivit or whatever it was. It's a spin-off of ivermectin. Yeah, I'm like, oh, brother, it's an antiviral. It's the same fucking thing.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so I called my doctor friend because a couple of years had passed by. I said, listen, doc, can we talk, bro? Like brothers, I'm talking lifelong friends since we were little kids. Because I'm not liking what I'm seeing with the whole shit of, he goes, listen, man, you might have been a little bit, you're correct when it comes to this. It seems like there is data showing that it slightly helps. He didn't want to still say the fucking thing helps. Yeah, it's still, to him, it slightly helps. I go, okay, bro, do me a favor. I am going to send you something. And this had to do when the movie Sound of Freedom came out, with the whole child missing stuff. And, I said, I'm going to send you something. And as my friend, I want you to really send me, your honest opinion on what you think about this. So yeah, no problem, man. Left, hung up the phone. It's the last I've ever fucking heard from him, bro. Went, got dressed, and was going to a meeting and had 2 pulmonary embolisms.
Shit.
Now, listen, guys. People die all the time. I get it. But a healthy doctor that's vaccinated and quadruple boosted and dies of a double pulmonary embolism, could be anything, I said. And you start seeing since 2020 hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cases. All you got to do is follow the page, died suddenly, if you guys haven't followed it. There's no reason why a healthy 17-year-old just falls off on the basketball court and dies. It can happen, but not as frequently as been happening since this experimental drug. You don't see all these morticians and these coroners pulling out strings, bro, of clots that they've never seen before in patients numerous times after this experimental drug. So it was my choice to say, fuck that. I don't know if I should take that. You want to risk it and take it? Go ahead. If you feel that it's going to benefit you. So if I don't, now I'm shunned from the world. I can't get medical help. I can't go here because I'm an outcast. I can't go over there because I'm a piece of shit and I'm risking your life. I can't walk into a restaurant because I'm not allowed. Listen, bro, nobody's going to convince me otherwise with what I've lived already.
Yeah, we all live our truths, you know.
Let's wrap it up. I don't want to keep Zen here too late.
No, that's all right.
So thank you, Zen, for joining us tonight.
My pleasure, brother.
Mickey, do you have another question earlier? I feel like you were gonna ask something else, but
I have like 1,000 other
oh,
questions.
okay, that's all right.
Well,
then.
maybe we should do this again.
We're gonna do this again.
Man. I would
Yeah.
love to, brother. I would love to.
So-
There's a lot of other stuff. I hate getting into politics, guys. I
Yeah.
really do. Because listen, everybody's got their thoughts on someone. I don't have, I'm not here to say, hey, Donald's the man, and oh my God, and I'm Mr. MAGA. I just don't like the world we're living, and I do respect when you put somebody through something. I mean, this man didn't have to do this. If we're gonna be 100% honest, he didn't have to do this. The guy makes a fucking shitload of money. Okay, when he had The Apprentice, it was the #1 fucking show in America. The guy didn't have to do this. Okay, he did it for a reason. And what he's going through right now, it's easy to sit there and type up shit and say he's been, indicted on all these cases and all this shit and all this, that. Look, what that man's going through, he doesn't need to be going through, because he wouldn't have gone through any of this if he wouldn't have been a former sitting president. And the last thing that I can say regarding politics is if they can do this shit to a former sitting president, imagine what they can do to you or me. That's it, man. They can come right into your house and do whatever the fuck they want.
Good thing we're not important.
All right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. If you can go and actually say, when they did the whatever to hit Mar-a-Lago with whatever, that you can use deadly force, I was like, dog, really? So as far as I'm concerned, people can think whatever they want to think, but I think that is just making, like you said earlier, his poll stronger, his number stronger. People are not liking what they see, including Dems, man.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing, and it's a lot of the people that are in the middle, they're
good
jumping
night, boss.
ship. They're jumping ship. That's what's happening. And
lastly, anything else you want to plug?
Yeah, man, I do. I want to thank you guys for having me on.
Thank you for coming.
I definitely, man, I've been wanting to come for a while. And I want to definitely plug in, our gym, USC Largo,
official sponsors of
the podcast. But if you guys come on down, we have an amazing facility. Very happy to be here. Very happy to have you guys with me, and thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone in the chat, guys.
Yeah,
thanks for
chatting. It was a great
lively.
episode.
Yeah. Thanks for the opinions. This is why we do it. We want the opposing opinions all the time. And Vitality Wellness Center, right?
Don't forget about Vitality. Links in the description for both. If anything, you can DM me or Jay and ask any questions, or Miggy as well. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys actually not until after the 8th of June, because I am going out of the country vacation again.
Yeah, they're going to
Cuba,
a boring vacation.
Cuba,
the boring vacation.
Cuba didn't do it. Yeah. Cuba didn't scratch the vacation itch. I need a real vacation. So
well, in Cuba you didn't have water to drink. So I mean.